going on, Papa Fam? Welcome back to day 3 of the 5-day AI SaaS challenge. I can already see the chat popping off. This is exactly the kind of energy that I'm looking for. Everyone, let me know where you're tuning in from right now. This has been unbelievable in terms of the community, the engagement, the amount of people that are a part of this challenge. Absolutely crazy stuff. Welcome to day 3 of the 5-day challenge, guys. Go ahead and let me know where you're watching from right now. I want this chat to start popping off. We're going to go ahead and get things tuned in. I can see we've already got Florida in the house. I think it was Florida. Yeah, Sarasota, Florida. There we go. South Africa, Stockholm, Sweden, Singapore in the house, India, Nigeria, South Africa, India. I can see you guys tuning in. That's what I'm talking about. We got Scotland, Syrians back in the house, Pakistan, Canada, Philippines. That's what I'm saying, guys. Welcome to the stream. Mississippi in the house as well. We got the US. What's up? Manchester as well. All right. That's it. Energy's coming up. I'm good. We good to go, right? Guys, I'm going to jump straight into this one with a little bit of a demo of what we're going to do today before we go ahead and actually get started with the day. So yesterday was pretty damn cool. You guys went ahead and built out a lot of interesting things. My music, I did change it. Okay. The app's not changing. Anyway, screw it. We'll go ahead and do this. Yeah, there we go. I was wondering. I was like, what the hell? All right. Guys, check this out. Where is my music at? 1 minute. Already got the technical difficulties going on. Anyway, they'll come on. Screw it. We'll carry on for now. All right, guys. Welcome to day 3. This is what we're going to be building today. You guys can see for yourself. This is what we built yesterday. We had the beautiful landing page that we went ahead and did. And while I'm talking, I'm literally going ahead and restarting my music on the side. So I can't do this without my music. I need my tunes, guys. You guys know how it is. Need some beats behind it. 1 minute. There we go. Boom. Wait for it. There we go. Happy days. All right, guys, you guys see this is what we built yesterday. Beautiful landing page, absolutely amazing stuff. We can go ahead and click on get started. We had the upload functionality, as you can see here. Everything was working amazing. We even had the ability to drag and drop files in. So if I go ahead and drag this in, boom, absolutely beautiful. Right now I want to mention as well, we have over right 100 people on YouTube. And I'm not joking when I say it's already 1,000 in the viewing room. So every day I know already that people are going to start dipping out because it's a hard challenge. But I guarantee today 2,500 people are tuning into the stream. I'm calling it right now. I already know it. It's happening. Right. So this is what we're going to go ahead and build today. I'm going to give you a little breakdown right now. So we're going to actually build this functionality. We've got Firebase Storage. And we've got Firebase Firestore so that we can actually store our documents. So the thing that I go ahead and drag and drop is going to get uploaded here. So if I was to do it right now, boom, I drag and drop something in. It goes ahead and uploads to Firebase. All of this stuff right now that you see, we're going to go ahead and build. We've got Pinecone, where we're going to go ahead and generate AI embeddings from the PDF document that we go ahead and upload. And then you guys can see this. Look at this. Prove Sunny wrong. No dropping out. That's what I'm talking about, guys. I want you guys to prove me wrong and get that energy up and up and up, right? It will go ahead and generate the AI embeddings. Right now, I've got the demo gods against me, but in this case, let's go ahead and jump into something. I'm going to my documents here. We'll see for ourselves. I should have restarted my app. Oh yeah, that's why. My authentication is bugged out. So let me quickly log into my account. I didn't refresh anything from last time. That's why I did it. All right, let's jump into the demo. There we go. We got some good, awesome fans in the house. Look at this. If we go ahead and click into one of the builds, you guys can see for yourself. Okay, there we go. We're going to build this today, right? So you guys can see for yourself, we've got the PDF renderer. We've got the actual chat functionality you can see here. And we're going to go ahead and actually implement something called Langchain, which I've not done on the channel before, but it's honestly some seriously powerful tech, right? So look at this. Music is loud. Okay, I got you. Load or loud? I don't know what you're saying to me, right? But guys, you can go ahead and check this out. I'm going to go ahead and build into something called Pinecone. So Pinecone is basically where I'm going to go ahead and take the PDF and basically split it up into something that machine learning AI can understand, right? And that's called embedding. So we're going to go ahead and do that with Pinecone today. Then we're going to feed that data into something called Langchain. So Langchain is an awesome way of going ahead and building out everything that we need to go ahead and do to get input, like an AI model set up. So the input from our OpenAI embeddings, from our PDF embeddings from Pinecone, combine that with our user input, and then output something on the screen, which is going to be the chat. Okay, so all of this is going to be built today, but I want to jump into the stream. Let's go ahead and start off, right? So firstly, welcome to everybody going ahead and tuning in. Look at this. Oh my God, the chat is popping. You guys are awesome. Look at this. I know dropping out, staying strong to it. That's what I'm talking about. I want you guys to stick to the end. Okay, so a reminder already, if you haven't already, secure your seat. You guys have, honestly, I don't need to say this again and again. You've done this so well, this challenge round. We've got over 5,600 submissions already. So papareact.com/challenge is the place to go ahead and get set up. Let's go ahead and talk about today, which we already spoke about roughly. Setting up Firebase Storage, Firestore, implementing PDF rendering so we can actually view the PDFs. That's actually a little bit trickier than you think, right? So I'm going to run you through how I did it, how you can go ahead and do it as well. And we're going to get the whole thing set up together, right? We're going to implement the chat functionality with Pinecone. So that's the OpenAI, the AI Embeddings. There's a lot of tech terms there. I'm going to dumb it down so you guys can understand what's going on. But basically, the embeddings that we basically generate from our PDF, we store them in Pinecone's database. And then we use that inside of Langchain to basically have an input, a model that basically will go and digest everything that we're doing. And we're combining that with OpenAI's GPT to go ahead and have an output, right? So that way we can talk to the document. We're implementing My Documents, and that's all powered by Firebase Storage. And then we're going to go ahead and deploy. So Jay just let me know. He goes 1,500 viewers at the moment tuning in. So we've got 134 on YouTube. So if you're watching right now, I love and appreciate you guys. Smash that like button, boom. And then if you're watching on the viewing room, which a lot of you actually are, on the viewing rooms, which I'm glad you're making the most of it. So go ahead and check that one out as well. So 1,500, I told you, I'm calling it. 2,500 is the number today. So we're going to go ahead and carry on. Day 4 tomorrow. Stick around. Tomorrow is where we handle the payments, the sort of free tier, the pro tier. We limit the user based on the free ability. We can kind of give them access to the pro stuff and a lot of cool stuff, including custom hooks happening tomorrow. Somebody goes, what is the viewing room? There is actually a link in the description which has access to this. So for example, today's viewing room is this room right here. So you can secure your access to day 5 at the top, or you can watch the replay of the video or the live right now. It shows you the agenda and the homework submission. And we even have a sample PDF for today's build, okay? Don't worry about it. Somebody goes, I feel left out, I got left behind. Don't worry. You've got up until day 5 to be a part of this challenge. It's all good. Make it to day 5, like I said, the grand finale, to get access to how to go ahead and basically my full training, right? How to go ahead and leverage AI so that you don't get left behind and beaten by other devs who are leveraging it, right? So we're going to go ahead and show you an entire training. We're going to show you how to launch your SaaS. So different sort of things like product hunt, how you can go ahead and implement all of those websites to go ahead and actually implement a launch strategy. And I'm going to reveal all my secrets, how you can land your dream job, right? And there's tons of free goodies, including the source code for this entire build, okay? I love this. Liz Myers goes, I love the way you've broken this up, challenging and doable. You know, I'm going to hold you to that. Today is a very tricky day, so I want everyone to really grasp together as a community and absolutely smash it through today, because today is actually one of the tough days. It's the toughest day. So if you get through today, it's easy afterwards, okay? Somebody goes, no sound. I think we're good. Jay, let me know. I think we're good. Right. Reminder, what can you win in this challenge? So I'm going to go through this fairly quickly so everyone gets a reminder of everything that's happening. First place prize, LG ultra-wide monitor, the full diamond mentorship experience, and Clerk swag packs. The LG 34-inch ultra-wide, absolutely banger monitor. Amazing thing. Sunny loves Firebase so much. I do. It's sick. Period. Done. Right? It's good. It's worth using. Right? In this case, we've got first place as well. You've got the mentorship program. Everyone loves it. I can see the chat popping up for them. Right? And this is including a one-to-one with me. Right? So it's not only the diamond membership, it's one-to-one with me where I develop your roadmap to your success. And we've got the Clerk swag packs. Tons of stuff to be included. Second place, Keychron K2 keyboard, platinum membership, Clerk swag packs. You guys have heard it yesterday. You've seen it. This is what we're going ahead and absolutely killing. Right? Third place, we've got the Clerk backpack. Again, they've combined over with Koto Paxi to give you this awesome backpack. And we've got the GitHub repo with over 50 builds and some more swag packs, because why the hell not, right? So a bunch of stuff coming your way. And yesterday, just for turning up, guys, you would have got this cheat sheet. Now, I want to mention as well, if you for whatever didn't get this cheat sheet or it didn't come up in your inbox, simply head over to the community. So at the community room, you can go to the classroom at the top of the University of Code. You'll see only this one. So just click into this. And then here, you'll either see in day 2 on the schedule, you've got the cheat sheet down here, so you get the free goodie, or we've created a whole section to make it easy for you to go to the free daily goodies and click on day 2 free goodies. So you can go ahead and get it there as well. So cheat sheet in there, you're welcome, absolutely free. So I'm just going to keep on giving you free stuff. Like literally, you guys have been awesome to me. I'm being awesome to you. Period. This is how it works, right? Stick around today to get the Next.js handbook. This one took us ages to build out. So we're going to go ahead and actually give you out this today. And then we've got day 4 as well, the JavaScript handbook, right? Somebody goes, the cheat sheet is declaring with var. Well, in that case, remember guys, you can update it yourself, right? As in like, if you should know things get outdated. What can I say, right? I built that cheat sheet a while back. It's still awesome in the majority of things. Everything that you have in terms of content, make sure you apply your own common sense to it, and things are going to get outdated. So you need to make sure you go ahead and update things in your own knowledge base, right? So sign up to day 5 to go ahead and get the freebie, which is the actual Tailwind CSS cheat sheet as well. So make sure you go ahead and get signed up to day 5. And of course, I'm giving all the AI SaaS app code on day 5 as well. So tons of stuff kicking off. Make sure you signed up to make sure to get access to that, right? Point system, I'm running over it fairly quickly. 1 point, if you like and comment on this video right now, not in the live chat, but the actual video, and subscribe to the channel. Easy way to grab your points. And you guys are absolutely crushing. Like, honestly, the support, the community, you guys can see that it's a lot more than just a normal challenge. This is really about embracing community. And I just want to say, firstly, everyone on the screen and everyone tuning in right now, I appreciate all of you. Aiden Joshi, absolute boss of a school kid, coding in this challenge. I see you. He's in the chat right now, killing it in this challenge. Well done, kid. 2 points, tag me in your socials on Instagram. You guys have been doing absolutely awesome using the hashtag Papa Challenge. You can see already, boom, you guys are doing awesome stuff. It's really cool to see. Honestly, like when you guys show me you on your laptops coding away with these builds and actually doing it, it blows my mind every time. Really, really cool stuff, right? So make sure you tag me in it. Easy 2 points. 3 points for helping someone out with their homework. It's probably one of my most important points of this challenge. Go ahead and help people out. Like Aiden, like I literally mentioned his name, right? And he's helping people out in the community. Stephen Watkins as well, absolutely boss in the community. And there's more examples of people helping each other out. This is exactly what I wanted to achieve from day 1. A community where everyone feels like they can get over anything, period. Goncalo helping out Dev Ben. We've got Dipanshu helping out Farouk. Stephen and Faizan both helping people out, absolutely smashing it on that front. So tons of stuff. Make sure you go ahead and engage in the community. If you haven't and you're wondering, I'm stuck, that's the problem with today's development world, right? You're doing it too much in a solo environment. Make use of a community and get the support that you need to overcome your hurdles. I promise you, you'll feel like superhuman. You'll just get over all this stuff. You'll never get stuck, period. Honestly, you've got backing of all these other amazing devs. 4 points if you refer someone. Lots of people referring people. Aiden, I see you referred his cousin Joey. And then again, he's helping him out with some homework, right? 5 points if you submitted your homework. And then 20 if you submit all of your homework. Of course, this is only if you get it in before I go live on day 5, right? So the team are scanning out for everyone while we're going ahead and getting up to day 5. Bonus point time. 10 points if you use this link, go.clerk.com/sunny. Somebody goes, can we do challenges like this every month? They're amazing and fun. Guys, I don't know about every month. I put so much work into this, but I'm going to keep them coming to you, right? Go.clerk.com/sunny. If you hit links like this, then yeah, maybe I can. Right, because this tells Clerk that you guys are actually involved and you're engaged in this challenge. And if you've already got a Clerk account, I would appreciate you go through the link and you still access the dashboard through that link. It helps us out with doing stuff like this for free, okay? And then again, you guys implemented Clerk elements. We gave an extra 10 bonus points for that. Boss stuff. So many people did it. It was absolutely awesome. Somebody goes, every month, let's not kill Sunny here. I appreciate you guys, right? So 10 points for the bonus features as well. I think it's time that we actually jump into that section of it. I do want to mention as well, if you post valuable content in the community, you're going to get a bunch of extra bonus points, right? So before we go into the highlights, I guess, of yesterday's homework, make sure you signed up to day 5. links.popareact.com/day 5. Simply head over to that page. You'll see something like this on the screen. Click on reserve my seat. Done. You get access to the entire training, everything that's going on, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into the thing. I've already showed you this right now. The classroom is where you can go ahead and get access to everything. Day 2 is what we're doing right here. So we've got the homework submissions. Yeah, I kind of want to just skip through and check something. All right, so we've got I want to jump into it, right? 1,900 submissions. There we go. Yeah, that's firstly, just wow. I just skipped over the fact that it's 1,900 submissions. 1,900. Absolutely crazy. We've never had that many. I'm just telling you right now. We've had like a good number of income, like in terms of submissions and everything in the past, but genuinely, like, I want you to pay attention to the fact that so many of you implemented Clerk elements, which was absolutely mind-boggling. I thought maybe a couple. Didn't expect like hundreds of you to do it. It's crazy, like absolutely amazing. I'm proud of you all for doing that. And the team was going through everything, even me jumping through every single different build. I was clicking on random ones trying to figure out which one's good, but we came up with a dedicated list. So This is your time to shine, guys. If you see yourself featured, pull out your phone, tag me on Instagram, and have your moment, right? Look at this. Stephen Watkins, amazing stuff. DocuBot. I like the fact that you just rebranded it. I really like that. I always say to people, change it up, mix it up, add your own flair to it. DocuBot, awesome stuff. Like, you know, it makes sense, right? It's a DocuBot. Yeah, uploading documents, chatting to him. In this case, he's got the regular clerk authentication, but amazing work with the rebrand, right? Again, with Nithin ready, really clean, mixed up some of the taglines, awesome stuff. Lino Maya, again, just a perfectly clean build, except for, please just always check your types, right? Always check your spellings, right? God, that's how you know I spend too much time in TypeScript, right? I'm talking in the coding language, right? Transform your PDFs into interactive conversations, but well done. Switzerland in the house, killing it. Scott Martin, love it. Clerk Elements as well, good stuff. I saw you commenting in the community saying you done it. That's what you should be proud of. Absolutely amazing stuff. Bonus points there for you. And we've got Yatish, again, really clean build. We've got Joffrey, amazing work, dude. Firstly, Clerk Elements, completely added his own custom theming and everything going on. And he changed it up, and I like that. Play around with it, do a lot of stuff. Lena goes, oh no, don't worry about it, dude. You absolutely smashed it. You done a good build beyond that. But it's always just worth checking. Aiden, dude, I'm so proud of this kid. Absolutely smashing it, honestly. Guys, just check out the community and you'll see for yourself. It mind blows me when I see the hunger behind some of these youngsters and absolutely just killing it. I really like the design here, by the way. He's got like a little kind of a wash going on in the background. Super clean. Took the initiative to go ahead and style it up. Keep it up, kid. Honestly, you're absolutely smashing it. Aiden, good stuff. We've got, and also I want to mention, added in a couple of different authentication methods. Really, really cool. Right, Ivar Rayner, awesome guy. Look, really nice neutral tones here going on as well. And this is Clerk Elements, I believe, which is awesome. We have Santino, we have Ratnica. Right, sorry if I mispronounced your name, Mishra, but this I really like. This was probably the nicest customization of Clerk Elements that I'd seen. Really, really cool. I also really like the orange. It pops. It just works, right? Immediately, I like the page. And he had a light and dark mode, right? A few of you had that. Hein, yo, this was cool. This was cool. He actually added the header section on the landing page. Questionable if I would do it, but the fact you changed it up, I love it. So well done. Looks good. Really good stuff. Faizan as well added the dark mode toggle at the top. Amazing stuff. We've got Jean-Marc Coffee. So all of you guys, immediate bonus points. Absolutely crushing it. Really awesome. Great stuff, right? Now, firstly, again, the same rules are going to apply today. So make sure when we go ahead and submit today's homework, put in all your effort, because if you get featured 10 bonus points, you're closer to winning those prizes. Absolutely incredible energy. Remember, if you haven't already, secure your day 5 seat. Links up upreact.com/day 5. And like I said, tag me on Instagram right now. Pull your phone out and tag it. It's awesome. I get the engagement going. We get to see what the community is about. We get to see real people doing this challenge. Today, of course, we're going to jump into the main build, which is Firebase Storage, Firestore, the database aspect of it, PDF rendering, chat functionality with Pinecone, Langchain, and OpenAI. We're going to implement the upload document functionality, which means Firebase Storage. I'm even going to show you how to implement cause strategies correctly. So much is going to happen today, and I'm going to try and do it all in the space of 2 hours. Okay, so bear with me. We got this, right? And obviously, if you're watching this back, feel free to skip through the replays. Everything is there. I'm going to go ahead and just jump straight into it. All right, literally, Jay, you're killing it with these GIFs. Smash the like button for Jay on the GIFs. I think he's absolutely done a great job. And let's go ahead and dive into today's build. So we're taking off from yesterday's build. This is where you should be. So if you're jumping in late into the challenge, you can simply go ahead and make sure that you can just follow up until that point and then carry on, right? So as simple as that. You just literally don't worry about it. If you're coming in late or you're watching this months late or whatever the case, right? Just feel free to progress through the days as you wish and submit the homework. I always check in on the homework even after the challenge is finished. So it's just cool to see people getting engaged. I'm going to make it easy for you, I promise. Aftab goes, it seems tough, but Sunny will make it easy to cross. I got you, right? Let's break it down. First step. Setting up Firebase Storage and Firestore. Right now, what we did is whenever we uploaded a document, we clicked on this. So if, for example, I'll click this, it opens up something like so, and then you can go ahead and do this. Now, all we did as a validation step right now is console logged it. So if I go here, you can see an array pops up and it's just a simple file, okay? If I was to do it again, you'll see that it's actually a file. So if I drag and drop in here, file, boom. Ignore all of this, by the way. I've got loads of plugins on my computer. That's why this happens. Let's go ahead and do that. Clean. There you go. The file pops in. So I want to do something with this. and we want to go ahead and jump through it. Somebody goes tutorial how? Don't worry about it. Just keep going through it. Just practice. That's all it is, right? So let's go ahead and do it. I want to drop the music a bit lower as well. I also want to change the playlist up. Somebody goes yesterday, I love your music. I don't know how to get it. In the description of all of my videos, there's a link if you go further enough down where you just sign up to that and you can basically get access to it also. My AC is bunging me up lately. It's crazy. Right, let's jump into it. So setting up Firebase and Firestore. So I want you to go over to, this is just a little heads up into the actual production build. We've got Firestore database, and we're basically going to be storing the user. They're going to eventually have active membership, Stripe, customer ID link to it, files. And I just want to mention as well, guys, you do not need to pay for anything here. Like literally, it's all free. I've not even been using the Firebase extension that we've previously used in other challenges because I want you to go through the entire thing completely free. So I'm showing you how to custom build everything, right? So it's absolutely awesome. We've also got Firebase Storage. So 2 things, services from Firebase, absolutely sick, right? What I want you to do is go over to a new tab and simply type in Firebase. On Google, you can simply hit up, go ahead and hit the first link, firebase.google.com. You'll hit this page. Now, I've already got an account. I'm going to click on Go to Console, and I'm going to create the whole thing from scratch. Right? I've got chat to any doc here, but let's create a new project. I'm going to say chat with PDF, right? PDF, and I'm going to call it chat with PDF challenge. Click on continue. You can enable Google Analytics if you want to. Obviously, if you're actually going to launch this, then you can, right? I'm going to click create project. And then the first thing that we need to do is to go ahead and get the keys in order to connect to our account. Now, there's a couple of things that we're actually going to need. Now, it's worth mentioning that we're going to use 2 different approaches here. When we're building in Next.js, we have the client stuff, which is basically what is rendered on the browser. And then we have the ability to render, and this is the default behavior, render things on the server. When we render things on the server, we can do it as a Firebase admin because we're in a secure environment. That means that on the server, we can trust that's a safe place. On the client, we can't trust that that's a safe place. So we have to use something called a Firebase client. So we're gonna have a Firebase file and a Firebase admin file, and that's the separation, okay? So that's just breaking up firstly. Firebase project is ready, click on continue. Spark plan is completely fine, yes guys. Absolutely no cost, 0 a month. You can do all of it from the beginning, okay? So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead. Jay, handle that. It's all good. I hate negativity in here. Honestly, no room for it. Like if you're being negative, out, right? This is absolutely just not the place for that. So yeah, out of it, done. Seriously, finished. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and head over to the cog project settings. And I want you to go ahead and click on this right here. So we're gonna create a new app and we're gonna call this app, yeah, this doesn't actually matter. It's actually an internal name. We're going to say chat with PDF challenge. I'm just going to call it whatever I called it there and click on register app, right? Let's go ahead and do this. Douche. And then once we've done with this, I love that. I love that. Samuel goes, I don't think you can classify as tutorial. Hell, all the builds in this channel really just help you learn new tech you can use in your builds. You've just got to do the work. And I have facts, absolute facts, dude. That is literally it, because there's no tutorial in the world, which is going to be like giving you the perfect blueprint, which will last the test of time. You have to put in work. If you ain't going to put in work, out of here, right? Period. Excuses for you. You're done, right? In this case, we're going to install Firebase into our project. So let's go back over here. I'm going to go over to my code. This is the code from yesterday, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to my second terminal and I'm going to install Firebase. Remember, this is the Firebase client. We also have the Firebase admin client, 2 separate things. We also just hit over 2,000 viewers currently watching this right now, right? 1,110 on YouTube, 1,900 are in the viewing room. Absolutely mad, right? So at this point now, we've got this installed. I want you to copy this portion here, the Firebase config, okay? Copy that. You don't need to copy everything, but just copy that bit. Head over here, and I want you to lock all of this off. Go to the package.json level and create a file called firebase.ts. Now inside here, I want you to just paste it in, easy as. But we're gonna do a couple of little checks here. So firstly, I've got a few, let me go ahead and import. I've got a few import statements. So at the top of the file, boom. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. Your people are coming along Firebase stores right now. Nice. Sunny is unique in his approach. Just enjoy it. Yeah, 100%. Honestly, facts. Like, I want to be different. That's it. I'm glad you guys appreciate it. Right. Import all of these. Get apps, initialize app, get Firestore, get storage. Here's the configuration. And this is basically how our Next.js app can connect to our Firebase setup on Firebase's side. Okay, so let's go over here now. We're going to go ahead and hit save. And then what I want to do is I want to initialize the app. So what I do is I say const app equals, and we're going to say get apps, right? Get apps like so. And then basically what I'm doing here is in a server environment like Next.js, what I want to do is I basically want to check if I've already set up that Firebase client, because what can happen is when we've got several different server-side renders going on at one time, we don't want to have, for example, a duplicate client, because what can happen is once you've got duplicate clients initialized, it can send the same request at the same time, and you can have duplicates in your database, and you can run into unexpected problems. So we basically need to check, have I already initialized it? If so, use that one. Otherwise, keep it sort of initialize a new one if you haven't already, right? So we say get apps dot length, and you can see that array of all initialized apps. So if the array of initialized apps is 0, then we can go ahead and jump through. Okay, so in this case, get apps length 0, and we'll say initialize the app with the Firebase config right here. Otherwise, I'm not even going to say get apps 0. You can actually just use get app, right? So this one right here, and import that right there. You can say get app like so. Okay, now once that's done, I want to go ahead and say const db equals get Firestore, right? And basically this is how I connect to my Firestore database. And I also need access to the storage section, right? Are we using Firebase for NoSQL? Yes, Firebase that we're using right now is NoSQL, right? The storage structure. So you can have SQL, NoSQL. We're going with NoSQL in this build. I owe my first job and my current role to Sunny, who provided me with invaluable free knowledge and resources that helped me build my skills. Faizan, absolutely huge stuff, dude. Thank you for sharing that screenshot, Jay. Absolutely crazy win right there, right? Huge. All right, then we're going to go ahead and pull out the storage. Okay, 1 minute, guys. So let's go ahead and jump back in. Const db, const storage, and then we're going to go ahead and export these so we can use them, right? So I'm going to say export db and storage, right? So there we go. Boom. And now what I want to do is I want to initialize this on Firebase's side, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Someone says, please stay on the code. If we don't get this right, we're done. No, you guys can just pause the video at this point, right? It's all good. Like, you guys can feel free to pause the video as we're doing it. I need to stay at a pace which is obviously going to keep up with everyone, right? So let's go to build, and I want you to go down to Firestore database, okay? Now, once you're here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the Firestore database. So very easy. Hopefully Firestore ain't hanging. Someone said it in the comment right now. Firestore's hanging a bit, guys. Let's hopefully, yeah, okay, it's good, right? In this case, we're going to click on create database. Now, the cool thing about Firestore is that it's got real time out of the box, which is amazing for what we're doing right now. So we're going to click on a location. I'm just going to keep it as US for now. Click on next, and we're going to simply start it in test mode. Now, granted, this means that yes, everyone will have access to your database. You can implement Firebase rules if you wish. I'm not covering that in this challenge. That's a layer of complexity on top of this. However, one thing I want to mention is we are protecting the access in a bunch of different ways in our code and making sure that the user is authenticated. However, you should always have a layer of protection here, but we're going to click on start in test mode. So we're going to click on create, and then we're going to go ahead and let that do its thing. This will go ahead and set up our Cloud Firestore project. Simple as that. And basically, we've already done the hard work of getting it all connected here. So once you've done that, literally now this database instance will be the one that is talking to this database right here, the Cloud Firestore, okay? That's it. Step 1 done. Go to build for the next step, and we're going to go to our storage next. Now, this is where we store our images. So the goal of this is really going to be, we store the images and then we store a reference to that image in our database. So I'm going to click in start in test mode again, click on next, and we're going to click on done, right? Now, there is a little bit of a caveat. When we do it this way, it will only give the user access for 30 days, and then it will go ahead and lock it off. So I'll show you how you can change that and make it indefinite. For example, if you deploy this in your portfolio, or if you end up going live with this, I recommend you actually put security rules in, but it's okay. I want to show you a way that you can just get around that to begin with, right? So while this is happening, we can go ahead and we'll just wait for that, to be honest, because I want to show you the next step as well. We're going to set up this. There we go. Done. I want you to go into rules. And once you're here, I want to go ahead and you see here where it says allow read and write if request time is greater than this time. And that's basically just saying, I think it's 30 days. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to click on allow read and write, right, and click publish. If you made an error there, it will go ahead and tell you, but we're going to allow read and write, done. So there's no time constraint. Firestore database as well. I want you to go there, click on rules. And I want you to go over here and I want you to get rid of the time constraint as well and click publish. Once you've done that now, you won't have the 30-day period. You see, it's configured to expire after 30 days because it leaves your app open to attackers. So you do obviously want to add in a layer of protection here, the authentication portion of it. I can make a whole video about that if you want to, right, at some other point. But during the challenge, this is a demo, it's okay, right? Yo, Mr. Frank in the house. He goes, lovely donation, by the way, $5. He goes, building projects like this is massive. As a senior developer and hiring manager, seeing an awesome project like this gives you a big advantage. And I 100% agree with you. That's a big W right there, because once you've got projects like this in your portfolio, it's a flex, guys. You can sit there and chat about it inside the interview. Much higher chance of getting a win. Quick little water break. Oh, I was super thirsty. Okay, let's jump into it. Pause. All right, so we're gonna go here and we've got the Firestore database and storage set up. So heading back over to our app, I also need to set up the Firebase admin side of things. We've got our client for the Firebase side. We need the server side thing. And the benefit of using Firebase admin, it can do everything without authentication. So because on the server, we're in a trusted environment, you can go ahead and do that. So heading over here, I wanna go ahead and say, where is it? We're gonna go to our Firebase admin. There we go. So we need something called a service account key. Okay, so what I need you to do is I'm gonna go ahead and download a service account key. So here, wait for it. Do we get bonus points if we set up Firebase security roles? I mean, you can definitely do it. I would highly recommend that you go ahead and learn about it. I can't actually check against it easily, so it's gonna be a bit of a tricky one there. What I want you to do is click on generate new private key. Generate the key, and what this will do is it will download a file to your computer. Okay, so what that file will look like is something like this. So inside of my downloads folder right here, you can see chat with PDF challenge, and that's basically the key, right? So what I need you to do is basically drag that key into your project, right? And what I'm going to do here is, you can't see all of it anyway, it's fine. I'm going to go ahead and actually generate a new key because you did see all of that, and someone's going to definitely leverage that. So I'm going to click on generate a new private key, get rid of that one. There we go. I've got a new key now because I can't trust everyone like that. It's facts. Sorry guys, I'm gonna have to get rid of that one. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that, and then I have an idea to get rid of this. So what we want to do, drag that in like so. There we go. I'm gonna close that file. So what I need you to do is actually, where it says chat with PDF challenge, hit enter and change this to service underscore key. Okay, service underscore key, and then close it. All right, so service underscore key. But the problem is you're committing this to your GitHub. Do not do that, okay? Do not do that. Absolutely the most delayed super chat. Yeah, I know. Crazy, isn't it? You guys saw that, right? You could hear it in the background. Right? So here, service key. You want to right click and click on add to git ignore list, and then hit enter, git ignore, and hit save once you've added it to the git ignore list. Right? So here, for example, right? Now, once you've done that, this should gray out. And that is what you want. If it's green, do not push your service key to your GitHub. Absolutely awful idea. Never do that, right? The whole point is it should be super secure, and that's definitely something you don't want to leak. So what we do next is we say Firebase admin.ts, and you can put this in a folder if you want. I'm keeping it out, keeping it very light for now. What we're going to do next, though, is we're going to implement Firebase admin. So here you can see Firebase admin is the library that we're using. So what I want you to do is you can go ahead and actually click on learn more over here, and feel free to check it out yourself, read the documents if you need to. But in this case, we're going to go to Node.js, and you can see npm install Firebase admin. You don't actually need to say a save flag anymore. It's completely fine. So we're going to go back over to our code, and we're going to do Command J, pull up our terminal, and you can see here npm install Firebase admin. Okay, Mr. Frank goes, hey Brian, it makes a big difference in the job hunt. The biggest thing is to make sure it's deployed to Vercel so our hiring manager can actually see the project. Facts, absolute facts. Guys, trust Frank as well. Honestly, Frank is legit, like working. He's worked for PayPal. He's done his own consultancy work. He's got his own SaaS. Facts. Just listen to the community. No one is talking rubbish here. Everyone wants to help each other out. So Frank, I appreciate you, man, with the advice. Absolutely clutch. Right, so at this point now, I wanted to handle the imports. So let's go ahead and pull in some of our imports. Firebase admin. We've got the initialize, get apps, app, get app certificate, and then get Firestore. And what we want to do firstly is get that access to that service key that I just went ahead and popped in. So I want to say const service key, and you guys can see it was actually here, right? This one. So I need to reference that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say equals require, and you can go ahead and do an ES import if you want, but I'm going to go ahead and say at service key.json, right? And you guys can see it's all set up correctly. Then I'm going to go ahead and create an app instance, right? So let app equals app. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm creating a space for a variable, right? And this variable is basically undefined at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if the app was not initialized. So if we say get apps doc length, very similar approach, but slightly different, right? Equals 0. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and initialize the app and store it into our variable. So we say app equals initialize app, and we pass in an object. So you see the curly brackets, and we say credential equals credential colon service key. So 1 second, stupid autocomplete. Right, so what this is doing is it's basically passing in our service key as a certificate. We're passing that as a credential to initialize the app. And you might be wondering, why is it different? Now, what is this different to this? And the actual difference is when we are on the Firebase side of things, remember I said we're on the client then. Well, technically, when you're on the client, you're talking in JavaScript. JavaScript is the client. A browser can understand JavaScript. Whenever we work on the server, whether it's a server component, whether it's a server side function, whether it's a route handler, whatever it is, on the server, we're talking in Node.js. So on the client, we're talking JavaScript. On the server, it's Node.js. If you've ever been confused about why things might be slightly different, Node.js is different to JavaScript, right? Obviously, the underlying fundamentals of JavaScript, but Node.js is a server version of it. Okay, so that's what you need to understand, that principle, and know that they're two different things, right? So if it's not initialized, then let's go ahead. And that's why you might be wondering, why didn't he write the same code? That's why. Okay, app equals get app. And then what I can do is I can get access to it. So I'm going to say const admin db equals get Firestore, and then we're going to pass in the app. And this is obviously get Firestore from Firebase admin. Make sure you're importing from Firebase admin here, okay? Once that's done, I'm going to say export. I'm going to say admin db, right? And there we go. Happy days. And I'm also going to go ahead and export the app in case I ever need it, right? I'm going to say export the app as, so I'm aliasing it as admin app. Because I don't want to get them confused, right? And this side I've got the, I'm actually not exporting the app, but in case I need it, I'm going to export it as admin app, admin DB, so no one gets confused. Okay, so there we go. Andy B goes, anyone working with images, do you recommend just setting width and height to auto? Not necessarily, because it's not the most optimal. Really depends on how big you need it to be. If landing page, I would define it. For smaller images, I would definitely define it. Yeah, typically I would define it if ideally, rather than being just maximum. John says, are these being recorded so I can rewatch some parts later? Yes, 100%, John. Straight away afterwards this goes live on the channel, right? So done, we're good. We've got all that set up. We can jump through to the next stage. Okay, so now we've got our connection done to Firestore and Firebase. What I want to show you guys is, let's actually jump back to the project. I guess that's the easiest way of doing this. So heading back over to the app. When we upload now, I want to actually upload it. I want to push the file to Firebase Storage, and I want to basically create a entry into Firestore so we can actually store that information. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So what I want to do is where we have the file uploader, remember the file uploader, which was actually rendered on the upload page. So we go into dashboard, upload page, and we rendered out a file uploader. So in our file uploader, so this is where we're at right now. When we dropped the file into the code, this is where we logged it out. So this is where the magic happens, okay? So this is basically where we're gonna continue on from now. So first things first, I wanna get the first file that you selected. So we're not actually gonna allow for several files to be selected, but what I actually do wanna do is right now where it says use drop zone, you can actually see that I allow all files to be selected right now. It's got PDFs, it's got TAR, zip files, all this stuff. I don't want that. I want to actually go ahead and make sure that it's make sure that we're only accepting PDFs. So what you can do is inside the use drop zone here, I can go ahead and pass in different things. I can say, for example, accept, right? And what I can do here is I can pass in an object and I can say accept application /PDF. And that of course is going to be, we're only going to allow for PDF files. Okay, so an array of PDFs. So this is all I'm accepting. And now what you'll notice is that when I try to select a file, look how everything else is grayed out. It only lets me select PDFs. Okay. Code Whisperer, by the way, is a PDF document that I've provided in the homework submission. And it's an awesome bit of a test script. So I've even included some test questions here that we're going to eventually allow us to prompt to our program. And that's going to basically be a really good test script for you to go ahead and use. So in that case, we've got that down. I'm also going to go ahead and say maximum files is 1. Okay, so we're going to stop them from selecting several different files. Now, once we've done that, I want to get access to the first file. So I don't care about logging it out. I'm just going to simply say const file equals accepted files 0. Okay, so basically we're going to get the first one in the array that comes back. So we've got a file. Now, if there is a file present, right? So if the user did select a file, here I'm going to have basically an await handle upload function. So await handle upload function. I'm going to pass in the file here. Otherwise, I'm basically going to add a toast notification, and this one will basically go ahead and say, actually, to be honest, at the moment, we're going to do nothing. On tomorrow, when we implement the pro and the free, eventually here is where I'll handle a toast notification to say, if we are pro or free and you've exceeded your limit, right? But in this case, we're just going to handle the upload. So this is where we go ahead and use server actions. Now, yes, you can see I'm writing await here, which means that in the callback function, I'm actually going to write an async, right? So this means that in order to have an await, and all this is doing is it's saying that this function has an element of asynchronicity, which means that in this case, when I perform the handle upload function, I should wait and block at this point to go ahead and let this finish it doing what it's doing and then carry on, right? So in this case, we haven't got the handle upload functionality, right? So in this case, what I want to do is head over to our, and where have I got handle upload? Yes, I'm actually going to create a custom hook, which I probably haven't done in a while on this channel. So I'm going to show you how we can do it. I'm going to say const. Eventually, my goal is for this custom hook to give me back the progress of the upload, the status of the upload, the file ID in which I uploaded, and a handle upload function, which I can use to go ahead and call, which will basically handle all of the upload functionality, okay? And then here I'm going to create a custom hook called use upload, okay? So in this case, that's gone now, but obviously we don't have an import here. So I need to create something called a custom hook. Now, custom hooks in React, pretty damn powerful things. And the way we're going to go ahead and write our custom hook is we're going to create a folder outside of everything. So at the package.json level, create a new folder called hooks. And over here, I'm going to call it use upload.ts. Okay. Now inside of this, we're going to go ahead and do RFCE. We're not going to have a return block like so, but this is a good starting point for what we need. Okay. So once we've got this down, I need a couple of pieces of state. Now, firstly, it's worth mentioning that this is, so sorry, I actually mixed it up. I'm not doing a server action right now. I'm doing a custom hook. Server actions are coming, but that's later on, right? So just a bit of a clarification point. Yeah, so sorry, Andy B, correct. 100% correct. Yeah, I got it mixed up because we're doing a lot of server actions here. And I will actually have a server action inside of this custom hook. Right, so in this case, we're actually going to say use client because we need this to be a client component. And I'm going to have a couple of pieces of state which will keep track of what we're trying to keep track of. So first off, we're going to have progress, file ID, and status. And we're going to prepare 3 pieces of state inside of React. We're also going to have, for the status, a couple of pre-specified values for the status, and this is going to be like uploading file uploaded successfully, saving file to database. And the way that we do this is we basically are going to create something called an enum. So an enum basically right here is basically a very safe way of saying, if I wanted to make sure that I always add this string in, I can do something like a status text dot uploading or uploaded, and this will always translate to this bit of text right here. So whenever you want to do string comparisons, that's a clever way of doing it. Now, if I want to generate a type definition with TypeScript for this, custom hooks are always client-side, guys. They're never server-side. Custom hooks are always client-side, okay? We say export type status equals, and then basically what you do is you say status text, and you can basically text, and then you can basically pass in key of status text, right? So this is literally how we generate a type from this. And now these types are basically saying that status is always going to be one of these enums. Okay, so that's how we basically do that. Or it can be a no, and we give each value a no to begin with. So very, very simple stuff to begin with. Now, in terms of Clerk, remember we set up Clerk on day 2, I believe, right? So everything was set up for us. If I want to get access to the current user who's logged in, very easily I can use a hook that Clerk has provided. We can say const user equals use user. and this goes ahead and pulls from clerk. And now inside of user, I will have the user's information, right? So simple as that. Very, very good. And then obviously at one point, I want to redirect the user to some other page. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare myself by having the router, by saying const router equals use router. And remember, we're always importing from next navigation. Okay, so next navigation, hit save. Everyone's dialed in, I can tell, right? And once you've done that, we're going to go ahead and actually have the handle upload functionality. That's the main thing that we're going to go and, oh, sorry, don't do that. Do that, yeah. We're going to have the handle upload functionality. So we're going to say const handle upload. Okay. And this is going to be an asynchronous function. So we're going to say asynchronous. It takes a file and it does something. Okay. So very, very simple. Now, first off, we should have a defensive programming approach when we're coding. So basically, what does this mean? It means that if something isn't present, we should stop the execution. So what I say is if there is no file or there is no user, then simply return. So this is called defensive programming. It means that basically this will just prevent the execution from going any further. We stop at that point. Okay. Next up here, eventually, I will go ahead and actually say if the user is basically, this is where I'll say free or pro limitations, because basically imagine if they're on a pro plan, if they're on a free plan, they try to upload. At this point is where I'll basically say, whoa, 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 you've reached your maximum number of files that you can possibly upload. So eventually we're going to do this tomorrow. So that's basically a to-do at this point. Now that's a nice little plugin that I've got here. So that'll be to-do tomorrow. And then in the meantime, I'm going to generate an ID for the file that we're going to upload. Now, for an ID, I'm going to use a library called UUID. So what you can do is you can head over to Google, type in UUID, npm, and what you'll find is the first link will be this one, UUID. Now, you're wondering, why is my thing black here? It's because I've actually got something called Boost. I'm going to disable that so you guys don't actually see this. Can I not disable this? It's on, I'm using Arc browser right now. I just want to disable that. There you go. Oh, okay, yeah, there you go. All right. So I've actually done that. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's probably better on your eyes anyway. But there you go. I can disable it. And that's because I don't like seeing the page in dark. So yeah, that's it. In case you're wondering why mine looks, we actually are going to alias it. We're going to import v4 and call it UUID v4. And in here, you can see what we might have to do sometimes is install the type definitions. So all you need to do is hover over it, copy that line and paste it in. And this will install all the type definitions in the event that you get an error like that. Hit save and it will disappear. Okay, so once that's done, head over back to our handle upload function. And here what I want to do is I want to say const file ID to upload to. Okay, to upload to. And we're going to generate a new UUID by saying UUID v4 and execute the function. Now this will return an example, like a kind of a function string like that. It'll basically give me some kind of string like this. Okay, so now that we've got a string like that stored in our in a variable, I need to basically decide where am I going to store the user's file. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and find somewhere to store the user's file. So I'm going to say const storage ref. And when I talk about this, guys, I'm talking about Firebase Firestore. So basically, in this case, I'm storing it in the storage section. So eventually, this is the production one that I have launched. I want it to be inside of users / the user's ID. So in this case, it'll be the user's ID. Then it'll be inside of the files folder. And then I want to have a list of the files. And you can see that they're all PDFs, right? I was testing something before, so that's why that's there. So in order to get that right, the music is a bit distracting right now, so I'm going to make it a little bit more low-key. Let's go ahead and make this. We're actually going to use a pop fan playlist. Jay, your music's a bit too hype right now, so I'm going to keep it nice and calm so you can kind of focus. There we go. That's more my vibe. Okay. So in this case, storage ref equals reference. In this case, you see from Firebase Storage. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and refer the storage. And you can see I'm importing it from @Firebase. That's my library that I went ahead and set up earlier. Remember this one? From the client portion of it, right? Because we're using use client, which is a client component. So what you do is, and this is a very common approach you'll see me doing, is the second point is you basically pass the access to where the file is. So we use backticks for something called string interpolation. We say users / and I do $ and curly brackets, and basically I can put in a variable here. I can say user.id. Okay, and once we've done that, I can say / I can say files / and then I basically pass the file upload ID. And this is how I basically create a reference to where I'm going to push it to. Okay, so once we've done that, I need to basically create something called upload bytes resumable, right? So this is going to be known as the upload task, right? So when we're uploading it, we basically need a way of streaming it up, right? Because file uploads are obviously, it's going to send bits of data up until it's completed, okay? So in this case, we say upload bytes resumable, and we import that from Firebase Storage. Oh, this music's a vibe, honestly. And then we basically pass in the storage ref, which is the location of where we're going to store it, and the file that we actually want to go and upload. Now, think of this one as basically like a task that's ongoing, right? So this right now, you can see it's not a promise, but this is essentially a task, right? And this upload can be paused and resumed. Now, when you have this pattern, typically you have events which get dispatched as it's doing something. So what we do is we listen to these events. So the way we listen to these events is we can go ahead and say upload task on. Okay, so in this case on, and I pass in a bracket and I say on state changed. So whenever it fires off a special event, in this case state change, I can go ahead and do something. Now in this case, you have an arrow function that you can go ahead and like do something with, and inside of the first thing we get something called a snapshot. And in this snapshot, if we hover over it, you'll see it's an upload task snapshot. So you have some information inside of here. In fact, what it gives us is we can actually calculate something called the percent. We can calculate the percentage of upload by doing the following. We can say const percent equals math.round, and we basically do snapshot.bytes transferred divided by snapshot.total bytes times by 100. So it's very simple math. We basically determine how many bytes have I sent and divided by the total number of bytes that we're going to send, and we times it by 100 to get a percentage. We round it up, so that way it's easy. And then we're basically just going to go ahead and set the status and the progress. So in this case, I'm going to set the status to status text.uploading. And the reason why is because right now I would want the status to say uploading file. So at this point I can say, okay, set the status to uploading file, and then it will constantly go ahead and reiterate the progress. So it'll be like 20%, 30%, 50%, 100%. Okay, so really, really nice. Make sure you smash that like button if you're enjoying this kind of content as well. Now, at any point, if something goes wrong, we can tap into what happens when an error kicks off by going ahead and doing the following. We have another arrow function here. So this is another arrow function for the next section. And inside of here, we have the error. And if you hover over it, you'll see storage error. So what we can do here is I'm going to simply just say console error. I'm just going to render out the error, right? And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to say error uploading the file and just show the error. Okay, very simple. You can do string interpolation if you really want to. And then we have the onComplete. So you can see these are different arguments that get passed in. At this point, we have the onComplete. So what I'm going to say here is that you can actually get, I believe, the complete something back from here. So if we go and check it right now, that actually doesn't give us back, but this is going to be the completion function. I don't really care what comes back. What I care about instead is, firstly, I need to go ahead and change the status text to uploaded. Okay, so that's easy. Then what I'm going to do is I need to get the download URL. Think of it this way. I just uploaded a file to Firebase Storage. So now it's living over in Firebase Storage. Now what I need to do is generate a special download URL that anyone can go ahead and click and get access to the file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say const download URL. Download URL equals await. And because we're doing async await, I need to make the surrounding parent function asynchronous. So we say await get download URL, and you can see I've got two options, Firebase or Firebase admin. Make sure it's Firebase Storage because this is on the client. Remember, two differences I explained earlier. Get download URL. Now, what I do is I simply have to pass in the reference. Now, the reference is the upload task that we set up here. So upload task dot, and we can say snapshot dot ref, and that will give me the exact reference to go ahead and point to the file that I'm trying to get. At that point, I can go ahead and say the status is currently saving, okay? And you can go ahead and, and the reason why it's saving is because my next step is where I write it to my Firestore database. So this is essentially where I'm going to store the document in the database. So try not to get confused here. The first part is uploading it to the storage area on Firebase. Second part is uploading a reference or like a record of it in my actual database. So storage database, Firebase Storage. Firestore database, the one that I'm listening to in real time on my app. Okay, so that's basically going ahead and doing it. So Sunny time switch to JS, but keeping the volume just a bit louder than low. Yeah, right now, I'm keeping it dialed in because it's quite intense stuff, guys. Okay, so I want to kind of make sure you don't slip up on this. So I'm trying to focus on a lot more of the speed and stuff here. So next up, we're going to do set doc. Now you can use add doc, but I'm going to do set doc. And the reason being is when you do set doc, you can go ahead and override the current location, but you can also set the ID yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and check this out now by saying set doc, and I pass in the first thing, which is a reference. So in order to do this, I say the doc from Firebase Firestore. Right, I'll show you all the imports as we go along. So in this case, from the doc from Firebase Firestore, and then we basically go ahead and pass in the database, so DB from our Firebase file, and then I basically start tacking on the location. So first thing is the users. Now, if you're wondering where the hell is he talking about, this is where it's going to be stored in Firestore Firestore database. It will look something like this. You guys can see here, I've got my collection of users and NoSQL database, the user ID. Then we have the files, then we have the file itself, and I have some details about the file. Okay, so in this case, we have the users, then we're going to go ahead and say the user ID, and then they're going to go into the files itself, and then I'm going to go ahead and pass in the file ID to upload to. And then what we do is we pass in the data. Okay, so the data that I want to save there, very straightforward, and I'll show you how we do it. We've got all the keys and values here. We've got the name is the file name, file size, file type. Very simple. We've got the download URL that we calculated here. And then we've got the reference itself, upload task.snapshot.reference.full path, right? Then we have the created at, which is the timestamp, right? Now here, you can use the server timestamp. In this case, keeping it very simple, straightforward, but I would recommend you actually do use a server timestamp. But I was having a few errors when I was messing around with this. For now, it's all right just to do the new date. But the problem is that whenever someone's in a different time zone, it could clash. But in this case, it's okay because it's the user that's using it. It's not like a multi-user database in the sense of where we're going to have different users, time zones affecting one thing like a chat. In this case, it's fine. It's going to be the same user, so we don't need to worry too much. But you should ideally use the field value from the server, this time store, right? But in this case, we're going to set the status next to generating. And this is where I will actually generate the AI embeddings, okay? So generate the AI embeddings. So this is a to-do. We're going to have to do this in a second. And then I'm going to say set file ID, okay? And we're going to set that to the file ID to upload to. So the reason why we created an ID is because from the beginning, we know what the final file ID is going to be. So we can go ahead and upload the file to that place. We can then go ahead and set the file ID at the end of it to go ahead and basically be like, yep, that's the ID that you just uploaded. So that's the file that you've gone ahead and uploaded. So, Abdullah, he says, I want to thank Sunny. I am a software engineer today and I've secured a remote job. I followed your tutorials to learn. Your channel really helped from Nigeria. Amazing stuff, Jay. Screenshot that. Absolutely huge. Quick little water break as well. And let's carry on strong. Okay, so at this point now, we've got our set file ID. And then after this, we're going to go ahead and say return. So once we've done all of this, I'm just going to return the progress, status, file ID, and handle upload. Okay, so a bunch of things from here. I'm going to bring the pace up a little bit because I want the kind of the vibe to be a bit more engaging now. So we're going to go ahead and bring it up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and just pop on some other tunes. So let me go ahead and bring. Okay, I'm just clicking a random song. There we go. This is a bit more vibe. All right, so now we've got the custom use upload function done. The router, we're gonna actually, we don't even know if we use the router. We use it later on when we actually want to upgrade them, so we will come to use that later on. But let's go back to the file upload now. Now I can upload, import my use upload hook. That's all good. Amazing stuff. We've got the use upload function dialed in. Next up, I now need to go ahead and actually use it. So in this point, we've got the await handle upload. Now I can actually test this right at this point. Okay, so I can fully test this, but I do want to do one thing. Once I've done it, remember the file ID gets set. If it's all successful and done, the file ID will get set. So now what I'm doing is I'm making sure that if the file ID is set, at that point is when I will go ahead and redirect the user somewhere else. So I'm talking about redirecting, so I need the router. We are on the client, so we're going to use router from Next Navigation, so that way I can redirect the user somewhere. Then what I want to do is I want to have a use effect. So a use effect basically allows me to run this piece of code when the component mounts, as well as when the dependency array inside of this array changes. So two things. Firstly, import it from React. The second thing is go down to the curly brackets, and I'm going to say when the file ID changes, file ID changes, or when the router object is passed in. And sorry, don't do what I just did, do file ID like so. Okay, and now that's all good. what we're going to say is if the file ID is present. So basically think about it this way. The file ID always starts off as null. So only after the upload is complete does that get set in our custom hook, at which point we can redirect the user and throw them to that URL, right? So here, then what we say is we say router.push/dashboard/files/file ID. Okay, so let's test it out, guys. We'll see if we've done our first upload functionality portion of the build. All right, so right now what I want to do is hit a little refresh to make sure we're on the latest. I'm going to grab the Code Whisperer PDF, which I actually gave as part of the homework. It's actually there in the top of the file. So I'm going to go ahead and drag in the Code Whisperer's request into here. And what we can see now is it's doing something. I'm not showing on the front end. However, you can see we got redirected to files/and ID. So this is where we basically check to make sure we did it all right. So once you've done that, go over to storage. What we should see is we should see the users with the user ID, and then we should see the PDF document. So this is the first step of verifying that what we did is correct. So if we click into this, I have the document. Awesome. We go to Firestore database, and now you can see users has been created. We've got the user, we've got the files, and we've got the file itself. And you can see that the download URL is the link to the actual file, the codewhisperers.pdf. We have the reference of the file, the application, the size, and the created at timestamp. Amazing stuff. That worked perfectly. The only thing that we want to do is update the UI. Right? So I want the UI to actually look way cleaner than what we just had. Right? So in that case, now what I want to do is at the bottom of the file, we had this little comment where I said loading is tomorrow, right? So where we have upload in progress, I've actually got a little bit of a hack here. So what I'm going to do is we got the progress coming from our use upload function. So at the top of the return file, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have const upload in progress equals progress is basically not equal to null, and if progress is greater than 0, and if progress is less than 100 or less than or equal to 100, this would be true. Okay, so now I can use this to evaluate a bit of a layout, right? So in this case, under here, I can go and say upload in progress and. So only if the upload's in progress, so if that is true, should I render out a loading. Okay, so at this point I'm gonna have a div, and I'm basically gonna have a little bit of styling here. So I'm gonna have a div with a progress inside here. So div with a percentage, so I'm gonna say progress percentage, okay? And then I'm gonna actually have the icon being rendered out, okay? And also the status. So underneath here, I'm gonna have the p tag with the status as well. So let's go and see the status. And this one's freaking out because it's basically saying status or not is not basically equal to a React node, because it could be a no value. So at this point, there's a lot of workarounds that you can do. You guys can figure that one out, right? I'm not going to spend too long on this. I'm just going to pop a TypeScript ignore here, which basically don't do this in production. I'm teaching you this as just because it's a demo today. We're trying to skip over this, but I don't want to be stuck on TypeScript headache for a while. But in this case, you can go ahead and evaluate that yourself, and you can get that dialed in, right? You can basically just do a no check to see if this is true. And then we're basically gonna go ahead and render out the status. So that's the first thing. The second thing is here, I'm gonna render the status icon. So I'm gonna create a new function that will help us out with that. And then underneath here, I'm gonna style out the progress. So for the progress, I've got a little bit of a hacky approach to it. It's not really hacky, but I'm basically going to render out the class name accordingly. So we've got radial progress, and you can see radial progress we don't actually have. I'm going to show you how we can implement. That's actually from a library called DaisyUI. So once we've done that, background indigo, text white, border indigo, border 4, and then if progress is 100, we hide it because I don't want to show it afterwards, right? Then I'm going to say row is equal to progress bar, right? Row is equal to progress bar. So we're basically giving the web crawler a bit of idea of what's going on. And then we pass in something for the style. Now you might be wondering, this is very unorthodox. He doesn't usually do this. And that's actually because this is coming from DaisyUI. So I'm going to firstly show you DaisyUI, the loader that we're going to use. Is really cool firstly, but we have to pass in a couple of style values. So value is going to be the progress, size and thickness is how we're going to customize it. So that's the first step. But before we install DaisyUI, let's just style out the container so that way it can look really nice once it's all there. So I'm going to throw in a couple of styling options: margin top 32, flex column, justify center, item center, gap 5. Easy as. Let's go back over here and we're going to go over to daisyui.com. Right, so when we got DaisyUI open, we're going to click on how to use, and basically you want to click on npm install -D. This means it's a developer dependency, so it's not going to be in the production build. So what you do is pull open your terminal, install it into your project, and then the next step is all we have to do is install it into our Tailwind config file. So go to import DaisyUI. So let's go to our Tailwind config file so you guys can see it here. At the top of the file, I want you to import DaisyUI like so. And once you've done that, scroll down and you can see plugins. You simply want to add it as this next plugin. Now, I want you to pay attention to our terminal that's running over here. As soon as I hit save now, you can see DaisyUI loads in. So there's 2 themes added, support DaisyUI project, But it just basically means that it's basically added in these extra utility classes into our project, right? And utility classes meaning Tailwind CSS utility classes. So if I go to the loader, in this case, we can see, go to feedback, and you can see here we've got loading spinners, we've got lots of different things like that. But there's actually a really cool radial progress bar. So this one here. So we're actually using one of these. Okay, so you guys can see if you go into this JSX, this is essentially where you can see that styles being passed in and so forth. So I've basically rewritten this to go ahead and style it up accordingly. Now, with this, we use a div instead of bro. They give you a bunch of explanation as well, but you can go ahead and check this one out. So in that sense, we're done. So I'm going to click on output. There we go. And now I want to test it out. Okay, so first up, this first thing, I just want to make sure everything's good. The only thing that I want to do at the moment is set the styling of the status text, and I also want to render out the status icon, so this section here. And the way I'm going to do that is eventually I'm just going to say status icons. I'm going to pass in the status itself. Okay, now this again is going to freak out a little bit because I've got a bit of types stuff going on, so you guys can feel free to fix that issue yourself. But here I'm going to render out the icon, right? And we don't actually have our icon at the top here, so I need to create a special status icons. What's it called? Status icons. Let's have a look. Status icon. Everyone's hyper focused. I like that. Right, we're going to create a little helper function. So I'm going to say const status icons, and basically the type of this is going to be key in status text. And basically I'm importing that from our custom hook. And I'm going to say it returns a JSX element because that's what I'm going to render out. And all this is going to be responsible for, guys, is essentially rendering out on the screen the different types of icons that will show on the screen. So in this case, I'm going to say for the first, so basically all this is happening here is this is an object. If you really simplify this and you look at it like so, status icons is just an object of key. This is the key value, right? So key value. And all I'm doing is I'm setting the type definition to say the key should be a status text key. So uploaded, saving and generating. And then it returns a JSX element, which is either one of these icons, right? So we automatically, we went out and popped these in yesterday. We got Papa Fan members in the house. What is good? I can see you guys. We've already got also over 2,400. We're 100 away from getting 2,005 people or 500 people concurrently watching this right now, right? It's absolutely crazy stuff. Let's go ahead and carry on. So in this case, we've got the icons being rendered out accordingly with all the individual stylings. Now hit save. And now that is what is being rendered here. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a try. And in order to do it and demonstrate that, go over to your page. And I want you to simply go back to localhost /dashboard to get started again. So here, I want you to click on upload. Go ahead and drag and drop a file into it. So I'm going to drag a file into it, a PDF file, and then boom, you can see, look, file uploaded, saving file, and then the generating embeddings was super quick, right? And what's it called? I love that. Yeah, so you guys can see here, right? And then it will go ahead and push me over to the file. So we skipped the generating embeddings part. The only thing I don't like about this is it's still showing the drag and drop, right? So I want to hide that. So in this case, Jay, focus is distracting as well for me. Right, so in this case, we've got the div here. Right, we've got the get root props. So over here, all of this, you want to grab it all and wrap it in curly braces, right? And basically, I want to put a parentheses around the entire block. And here, what I'm going to say is if the upload is not in progress. So if upload is not in progress, right? And what that means is if we basically begin the upload, it will not go ahead and show the drop box. Okay, so now let's try again. I click this, I go ahead and say code whisperers, and boom, now you can see uploading file uploads, saving file, database generating AI embeddings, and it throws us over to this page. That's awesome. So first up, now next step, we are going to do the generate AI embeddings, but I want you to have a page that gets rendered out as a result, right? So in order to support this page, dashboard files, and then a page itself, we're going to go ahead and get it ready in the following way. This is going to be a bit of a longer build, I can already tell. So in this case, I'm going to try and speed up a little bit. We've got the component app folder. Then what I want to do is inside of app, I'm going to have dashboard. So we've got dashboard, and then I've got to have a files, right? So that's the first thing. So it's dashboard / files. Then it's an ID, and that ID could be anything. So in order to support something called a wildcard, we do new folder. So let's go ahead and do this. And we'll go ahead and say ID, like so, right? So in this case, files / ID. And then we're going to have a page.tsx, right? So here. Now I'm going to do RFCE, and instead of this page, I'm simply going to say this is going to be called, I think I wrote this as the chat page. Yeah, we're going to call this the chat to file page. Right, so chat to file page. Okay, awesome stuff. Now, the ID that comes through here, we can actually get that, right? So that actually comes through as we have the props that come through. We can actually destructure this, get the params out, and inside the params, we have the actual ID of the page that the user's on. So I'm going to type protect this to make sure that we're getting the correct values out. And I can say chat to file page ID. And now what we should see on our UI is if I go ahead and refresh, you should see this chat to file page, and it's no longer a 404 because the page exists. So you can see I'm pulling that ID from the URL over to this now. Okay, so that's awesome. The next step is before we build out the entire chat page, that page always makes me laugh. Before we do this entire page, now I'm going to go ahead and generate AI embeddings. Okay, so we're going to really start getting intense right now. So dial in, do not give up. If you get stuck, comment in the community chat, right? So go to the chat itself inside of school, go to the community and start talking to people. It's going to happen. You're going to get stuck. Talk to people in here and overcome it together. And then post a video, post something that will help everyone out if you think it will help everyone out. And basically, you will get to the end result. Just do not quit, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. So now the files are getting uploaded. They're adding the entry to Firestore. So that's awesome for what we need to do later on. The next step now is to go ahead and actually create the generate the AI embedding. So this part is the more technical part of the build. It's probably the most technical part of the build. So buckle in and get ready, okay? So I want you to go to the use upload function. And here, where we have generate AI embeddings, we're actually going to go ahead and create our first action, I believe. So I'm just checking on my code. So we've actually got a generate AI embeddings, and this is going to be one of our first actions. Yeah. So now we're creating something called server actions, right? So this is exclusive to Next.js. So in this case, now I'm going to go over to the top level with package.json, create a new folder and call it actions. Inside of actions, I'm going to create an action called generate embeddings. .ts. Okay, now inside the generate embeddings, we're going to have our first thing, server action. So whenever you write a server action, you have to at the top of the file say use server. Server actions are so powerful, and I really want you to go ahead and benefit from them. Okay, so in this case, pay attention. What we do is we say export asynchronous function. You could also use an arrow function, doesn't really make a difference. We say generate embeddings, and this is going to take a document ID. Okay, document ID, and we pass in a string. Okay, now in order to basically make sure that only authenticated users access this function, the guys over at Clerk already figured out a way to protect against this. So I want you to go ahead and say auth.protect. No, don't do that. Sorry, auth.protect. Okay, and this is a really awesome step from Clerk, right? So what Clerk have done is you can go ahead and import it like so. Import auth from Clerk Next.js server, and this right here, if they're not authenticated, will throw them to your sign-in page, which is awesome. So now basically this will prevent users who are not signed in from going ahead and getting access to that. So no one will be able to actually execute this code at this point if you're not logged in. Okay, cool. Next up, we're gonna have another we're gonna create a helper function called generate embeddings in Pinecone vector store. And you're probably wondering, whoa, what is that? Basically, this is very simple. We're going to turn a PDF into lots of embeddings. And embeddings, you can go ahead and check out, but essentially it's like a string of numbers, right? So this is going to represent something. So that's basically what we're doing. We're turning a PDF into a string of numbers. And the reason why we do that is because large language models such as Langchain that we're going to be using today and OpenAI's GPT basically only can understand the input of something. So we might think in ourselves that, okay, I can upload files and text notes and all stuff to ChatGPT and it works. Well, really behind the scenes, what's happening is it's turning it into a string of characters, and then it's using that to go ahead and do something called similarity comparisons and all this other stuff to basically give you a final answer. And it does that because it's trained on this data at such a high level. Okay. Once we eventually do this, okay, once we generate the embeddings in Pinecone, we're going to go ahead and revalidate our /dashboard path. And why are we doing that? Because basically at this point, what would have happened is we would have added a new document, and whatever we fetched inside of our dashboard, which we'll get to afterwards because we haven't implemented that yet, we basically just want to make sure that that's refetched. So make sure that's refetched. We can basically burst the cache from the dashboard page and basically have that, yeah? So now what we do is once that's all done, we return completed is true. So completed, just true. Easy as that, right? We return completed true. Now generate embeddings into Pinecone vector store. Right, what does this mean? Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Pinecone right now. So Pinecone is over here. So pinecone.io, and you can create a free account. Now this is a very generous free tier, so do not worry. Tons of companies use it, such as Notion, Microsoft, HubSpot, Klarna. We are not sponsored by them. There's just an awesome bit of tech. And you can see here, it's very simple to go ahead and get set up and using it. So we're going to go to login right now. I've actually already got an account. I believe I should already be logged in, but it says welcome back. There you go. I'm actually going to continue with an account. I'm going to take a lucky guess here, and I think it's going to log me into, okay, this is good. Yes, I'm in a fresh account. So you want to log in, create an account, and then you should be able to hit a screen like this. So I've created a default project, very simple. And then we want to go ahead and do this. Now this is Python. We're not doing Python, we're doing Node. So you want to follow the first thing here and do npm install Pinecone database. Why are we using Pinecone? Very powerful bit of tech, but basically all it is in a nutshell is this is a really optimized database that stores AI embeddings, right? So in this case, we're going to generate embeddings from OpenAI and store them inside of Pinecone. And then we're going to use Langchain to basically combine it all together so we can interact with our AI, right? So at this point now, we're going to install. So let's go ahead and jump back forward. So not that one. We're going to go back here and we're going to go ahead and install it. So we're going to say npm install pinecone-database /Pinecone. Okay. So we're installing it. That step's easy. Then we've got the API key. Okay. So at this point, it's very simple. I can go ahead and show the API key. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do this. And you can see it gives me an API key. So what you want you to do is actually copy your API key. Now I'm hiding mine because it's a secret key for obvious reasons, right? So I want you to go ahead and copy the key right now. So I'm copying my key. I click show and I'm hiding it, okay? So at this point now, what I want you to do is go over to your environment.local file. Now, before I show mine, I don't want mine to be exposed at this point in time. So what I'm going to do is just hide my keys and I'm going to quickly prepare it so I can show you guys how you can do it as well. So Pinecone API key. So in this case, boom. I want you to basically copy this key. You can go ahead and show the value here. Copy that key and paste it here. And then obviously your clerk secret key will be your secret key. So I'm going to do that right now. And then that's going to basically go ahead and work, right? So in this case, I'm doing it as we speak. I am pasting the key in. And for the clerk secret key, I made a little mistake. I'm going to go ahead and put that one back. So I'm going to pop in my key in 3, 2, 1, done. I've saved it. I'm closing my environment file. Okay. So I've done that step now, right? So that's all good. So the next thing that we need to do is create access to the client, right? So we need to basically create this helper function. So inside of lib, let me know if I'm breaking it down well enough for you guys. Really trying my best now to basically get this part as well as explained as possible, okay? So what I want to do now is basically, you can go ahead and do this in a few ways. So here, I'm going to go down, I'm going to close this up, and inside of my lib folder, I'm going to create a file called pinecone.ts, right? So pinecone.ts, I'm going to import the database. So we just installed. Then I'm going to go ahead and say, if my environment variable isn't set, throw an error, right? Because we need that in order for this to work. I'm I'm going to then initialize my Pinecone client from the API key that we just set up. Yo, Abo in the house. What is up, dude? Good to see some OG members here. We're going to import our key and then we're going to initialize the API key. So same snippet as we've done there. Then I'm going to export default Pinecone client. This allows me to basically go ahead and use this Pinecone client and basically get access to that embedding database. So we've got the first part set up. Then you got indexes and so forth. Now you can create an index like this, but I've actually done this in my code, but I'm going to show you an easier way. You can simply click on create index like this. Now, once you've done this, guys, what I want you to actually do, and I'm just going to double check on how I initialize my one so I don't get anything wrong here. I want this to be perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to say the index name, I'm just going to call it PapaFam. It's very important, this index name, by the way. For the dimensions, what I need you to do is follow the steps that I'm doing very carefully, right? For dimensions, we're going to go ahead and put in 1,536. Okay, so 1,536. And this is because this is the one that is going to align with the adder model from OpenAI. So it perfectly fits in. There's a similarity metric which you can go ahead and do. And this is basically how it does its comparisons to check which things are relevant and close to what else inside the database. Basically how AI can figure out what text is similar to other bits of text. We're going to use something called cosine. So we're going to leave that very simple. We're going to go down to the serverless section and we're simply going to go ahead and do AWS. And then here, I'm just going to click on US East 1 and I'm going to click on create index. Very simple. Okay. Just do the steps that I just done. There we go. We've created our first index. Okay. So that's our first hard part done. All right. So well done. If you're following along with me, you're doing amazing already. Okay. Now what I need you to do is go into your lib folder. I'm going to generate this helper function like so. So I'm going to go into our lib folder. So lib, I'm going to create a new folder called langchain.ts. Well, you don't even need it in a folder to be fair. I'm just going to create a new file called langchain.ts. Okay. Now this is going to be a big folder. I'm just telling you right now, it's going to be a lot of stuff inside of it. Okay. So first up, we need access to OpenAI. Okay. So in this case, this is going to be from OpenAI. We need an OpenAI key, right? Because we are going to be using GPT to go ahead and do embeddings. Now, when you sign up to GPT for the first time or OpenAI, you actually get a free amount of credits. But in this case, if you don't, then you can go ahead and top up your account, whatever you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and say OpenAI keys, right? So just type in OpenAI keys and then basically you'll hit this screen. So platform.openai.com. Now I actually need to go over to my logged in account. So in this case, you'll reach this screen. Okay. Now once you're on platform.openai.com logged in, you go down to API keys and click on create new secret key. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and name my secret key. It's going to say chat with PDF challenge. And I'm going to just do default project and create key. Now I'm going to hide my screen while I create the key. And I'm going to copy the value that pops up on the screen. So what you will see is a value that looks like this. Save your key. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it all, copy this key. Now I'm going to hide my screen. I'm going to close that. And I now have my chat with PDF challenge key. Okay. So what you need to do now, head back over to your environment variables. I'm going to hide my screen quickly so I can make sure that I don't expose any key that I shouldn't. And we're going to go ahead and pop in our key. So what I'm doing right now is I'm opening up the environment file. I'm popping in the OpenAI _API key. And I will go ahead and show you this afterwards in just a second. But the way I can kind of make this a bit nicer to show you is I believe I'm going to try something risky here. I'm thinking, how can I do that? Let's see. Does that do it? Yeah, there we go. All right. So what I'm going to do now is you guys can see, boom, look at that. All right. That's a good way of doing it. All right. We've got the OpenAI key in my environment variables, right? So we've got the Pinecone API key, OpenAI API key, and then boom, we've got SK proj, and then you got your key. So do this, hit save, and then exit the file. Okay. That was good. That was a clever little use case of it. All right. So now in that case, we've got our API key set up. Now you want to go back to your langchain.ts file. Cool. So what I need now is I need to initialize OpenAI model with our what we're going to be using. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and we need to actually install Langchain now. So Langchain is going to be very important for what we do now. Now you can go ahead and check out for yourself everything that you want to do about Langchain, or check out what it does, for example. But essentially, it's a framework for developing applications powered by large language models such as GPT. Okay, so at this point now, we need to firstly install it to get it set up. Now, when you come to the Langchain documentation, a lot of the time you might actually go to the Python version and it'll be something like this, python.langchain. All you need to do is change to Python to JS and you're here. All right, so once you've done that, click on how to, guys, and we're going to go ahead and say how to install Langchain packages. And this is the first step, npm install Langchain. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pop that in, npm install Langchain. Quick little water break while that's happening. This is where the real ones will stick through it. If you're actually going to go ahead and make it to the end of this challenge, is where I'm going to see the winners from the people who aren't ready to go ahead and get this far in. Okay, so npm install Langchain. You can also use GPT-4 mini. Yes, that is correct. You can. Much cheaper and much capable for future reference. Yes, you're absolutely right. I'll show you. It should pop up here actually after when we're done. And then I'm going to start importing what we need. Okay. So it takes a while for it to import because it's quite a heavy dependency. And you can see here, there's got a lot of different extra ecosystem packages like the Langchain community as well. I need. And Langchain core we also need. So once we've done the first one, we're going to go ahead and do this. So let's go ahead and wait for this to do its thing. That'll take a minute to do it. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to do npm install Langchain, and then I'm going to also do @Langchain community. So you can actually tag them on. So you can say @Langchain community, and I'm also going to do @Langchain core. We don't need LangGraph. Right, so we don't actually need that one, and I think that's good. Yeah, so Pine database. I think there's also Pinecone database, but I think that one's already there. Yeah, so we're good. And then this is the final one, Langchain OpenAI. Okay, so at this point I'm going to do space. So that's exactly the imports that we need. npm install Langchain, Langchain community, @Langchain community, @Langchain core, @Langchain OpenAI. Let that do its thing. Okay. For affordability, can we use Hugging Video? You can do whatever you want, but actually at this point you need to be using OpenAI. But honestly, at this point, if that's like a blocker for you, I would really question like why you're building a SaaS, because honestly at this area, not everything can go to the point of like you have to. If you're going to use an AI model, of course, you need to pay for that little prompt, right? At some point, right? But like I said, you get free credits in a lot of different places for signing up. But it's cheap. It's very cheap, right? It's like literally crazy cheap for what it does. All right, this takes a second to go ahead and install. So in the meantime, I'm going to start importing the dependencies that we're going to need. So let that do its thing. And then we're going to go ahead and pop this in. So let that do its thing. Now, while that's happening, we're going to import chat OpenAI from Langchain OpenAI PDF loader from the community PDF loader. So basically that. Recursive character text splitter, we're going to need that. We need OpenAI embeddings. We need create stuff documents chain. We need a couple of things here, right? We need the chat prompt template, and we need a retrieval chain. So in this case, you can just literally pause the video and kind of grab these out. We need the following from here. So we need create history aware retriever, human message, and AI message. Right, so it's big. I'm telling you, this part is very cool. We need the Pinecone client that we initialized a second ago. Right, and this one is actually from here. So it'll actually be a lot easier than this. We're just going to go ahead and do this /Pinecone. And then we have the Pinecone store. We have a few additional helpers as well. Let's go ahead and pop these in. Pinecone store from Langchain Pinecone. And then we have Pinecone database and the index record. That is still installing. So it will take quite a long time, I think. Right now, the demo goes definitely against me today. It's not helping me out. We need the admin DB, and we also need clerk auth. Okay, so admin is not actually going to be here. I believe it would have been in, let's go ahead and have a look. I think it was in, was it a folder up or was it here? Was it Firebase admin? Yep, it was that one there. Okay, and there you go, guys. It actually did install. So you added 46 packages. The only one that hasn't installed is Langchain Pinecone. So I forgot to do this one. So you want to do npm install @Langchain Pinecone. Okay, you can see that's what, and it's very simple to fix. And you can go ahead and do it, right? So once you've done that, you shouldn't see any errors here. Everything is installed. Okay, first step, very easy. Like I said, just take your time with this part. Okay, take your time with this. Demo gods are actually on our side now. All right, so we've got the model here. Next up, we need the index name. Now this has to correlate to the setup that we did a second ago. So when we signed in, where is it here? Remember, this is your index name. That has to correlate to your index name here, okay? the next step is we're going to go ahead and actually have the big function, which is the one that we're going to be using later, which is going to be export asynchronous function, and we're going to call it generate embeddings in Pinecone vector store. And that's essentially exactly what it's doing. It takes a document ID, which is a string, and it basically goes ahead and does some stuff inside of it. When we store embeddings, the type of database is called a vector store, okay? So let's break it down. Firstly, we're going to get the user's authenticated state. Now, think of it this way. Right now, when we execute this code, we are on the server. We are in the Node.js environment. So in order to get the logged in state of a user, we can use the following. We can say const user ID equals await auth. Clerk allow this to be really easy, so we can go ahead and do this. So next step, naturally, I'm going to say if there is no user ID, we're going to say user is not found and throw an error, okay, because we need the user. After this, we're going to go ahead and say let Pinecone vector store, and we're going to create a variable for this, okay? It's going to be basically undefined to begin with. Now, what I'm doing here, guys, is I want you to go ahead and just add console logs in, because it's really going to help you understand which point of the journey you're at when you're debugging this, okay? Because something will go wrong at some point, I promise you. So I want you to go ahead and do the first bit, console log, generating embeddings from the split documents. Okay, so what we actually do here, guys, is we're going to go ahead and actually firstly split up our PDF. Well, firstly, to make it a lot easier, here we're not actually generating embeddings yet. But let's just go ahead and say generating embeddings so far, like so, yeah. We basically get this embeddings object from OpenAI Embeddings, and this is something which we can basically go ahead and use for passing input values in and generating those strings of numbers together, right? So this is from OpenAI, easy. And then what we do is we connect to Pinecone. So remember this, we need to make a connection to this index, right? So what we do is we say const index equals await Pinecone client dot index, and we pass in the index name. Cool. Then what we do is we need to check if something called a namespace exists. Now, the way that we're going to set up our database is every single namespace, and in the free tier of Pinecone, you actually can have up to 100 namespaces inside of an index, right? So it's allowing us a lot of different stuff, right? So in this case, you guys can see here, namespaces, right? I prepare everything, by the way, guys. Yeah, I prepare everything. So in the coding sense. So namespaces here. Over here, this is going to resemble, each namespace will resemble a document, okay? So over for the namespaces, I'm going to go ahead and basically do a little check here. I'm going to say const namespace already exists equals await namespace exists index, and I'm going to pass a document ID. Now this function right here is going to be a helper function. I'm going to create this, and all this is going to do is I'm going to put this above our generate embeddings, and slowly this file will grow. You can refactor it as you wish, but it's going to be an asynchronous function. It's going to say namespace exists, and it's going to take an index and a namespace. Okay, the index is going to be of type index, right? And we've actually imported that already, and the argument here is going to be record metadata, right? We actually imported all of these things previously here. Okay, cool. The namespace is going to be a string, simple as. Right now, what we do is we basically say if there is no namespace passed in here, return an error, simple as. Right, and then we basically go ahead and we check for namespaces. Now the way we do this is we're basically doing a little search here to see if the namespace is present. Right, so I'm going to say const namespaces equals await describe index stats, and basically this is how we can check if it exists or not. So this will return an array of namespaces. What we're doing is we're basically checking if the namespace that we passed in is not equal to undefined. Okay, so very simple as that. Okay, so once that's done now, this will return true if the namespace exists. Okay, and there's a reason why we do this, because it's going to basically help us prevent unnecessary calls. Otherwise, your app can get quite inefficient, right? Let's put it that way. So now that that's done, what we do is we go ahead and I've lost my space. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do this. Now, namespace already exists. So what we do is we say if the namespace already exists. So if namespace already exists, then I'm going to go ahead and console log namespace already exists, reuse existing embeddings. So basically put it this way, right? if this has already been generated for a document, the document is not going to change. That PDF document, once we uploaded it, we only want to generate the embeddings once. And I'm trying to make this an efficient program for you, because when you generate embeddings, it runs up your account on OpenAI. So obviously you don't want to have to pay every single time to go ahead and create new embeddings when I just open the file. Right, and then if you go ahead and have a re-rendering problem, you're going to have a very expensive bill. So you don't want to do that. You want to keep it super cheap, generate embeddings once. And then if you've already created the embedding, it's going to be as simple as just accessing it from Pinecone, right? So this is a very efficient way of working with it. The namespace, by the way, will be the ID of the file, just in case you're wondering. So that's why we have doc ID everywhere. So namespace already exists, reuse the existing one. Now, simple enough. All we do here is we basically, remember that Pinecone vector store? We just call a function called Pinecone vector store. So we're storing it in that variable. We say await Pinecone store from existing index. We pass in the embeddings that we're going to be using, which is OpenAI embeddings. And then we pass in the Pinecone index, which we actually have already set up here. Right, that's going to be PapaFam, but basically makes a connection to it. And we pass in the namespace, which is the document ID. So simple as that, and then we return it. Otherwise, right, if it doesn't exist, we're basically going to go ahead and download the PDF from Firestore on the server. We're going to download the PDF from Firestore, get the store download URL from our generated download URL that we did earlier, generate the embeddings, and then store them in the Pinecone vector store. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to take that PDF and split it up into documents, right? So when you're working with any AI language model or you're basically embeddings, that kind of stuff, the way it works is you have to, say I've got a page of like 2-page PDF. It will split it up into like 9 chunks, and then it will generate embeddings based on that. And then it will kind of have these in these smaller chunks, and then that gets stored into the namespace on the vector database. So basically, that's how we can basically optimize it in a way that it can be used by an LLM, right? So at this point, we say const split docs equals await, and we're going to generate these docs. And you can go ahead and read up on this if you want a bit more information. Sorry, not that, generate docs. And we basically say doc ID. Okay, so I need to create this helper function. So you see how we're basically slowly getting through this, right? So we go up here now, and we basically say, again, above everything, we can say export asynchronous function generate docs. Okay, this will take a document ID, which is a string, and then we've got our function start. Now at this point, again, I'm going to protect our user, making sure that we're actually authenticated. If we're not authenticated for whatever reason, again, you might call this outside of this function. Whatever the case, I want to make sure that you go ahead and prepare for it, right? So once we've done that, I want to fetch the download URL from Firebase. So we need to go ahead and now we access Firebase admin. Remember that admin one that we set up? We had the client that we used earlier, but now we're using Firebase admin. And this doesn't follow the modular approach of how we access files like we do on the client. Here, the way it works is we say, for example, const Firebase reference. So I'm trying to reference into the point in the database now. I say admin DB dot, and you can see dot collection, and basically now I have to stack through to get to the point that I want. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say collection users dot document user ID dot collection files dot document ID dot get. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm going into the file users dot user ID dot files dot the document ID, and then I'm getting this, and I'm going to get the download URL. So what I'm essentially doing here is accessing all of that. So now I've got the download URL. I access the data of basically the get goes ahead and gets that file. Then we access the data of the file and we get the download URL. Simple as that. Once we've got the download URL, firstly, defensive programming. I want to make sure if there was no download URL, we say no, download URL is not found. You've messed up somewhere, right? So let's do a console log, download URL fetched successfully. Cool. Next up, we need to download the PDF. So the way we do this is we're going to go ahead and fetch the PDF from the specified URL. So const response equals await fetch download URL. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking that download URL, which is the link to the PDF file, and I'm doing a fetch. Fetch is basically just a call to go ahead and download. It's a get request, okay? Now, what I do is I basically render the response as something known as a blob. A blob is basically a way that resembles, if binary information, basically zeros and ones, which resembles the PDF document. Okay, so now we're basically gone ahead and turned our response into a blob object, which is somewhat sort of, you know, comparatively looking at it, it's basically, we can say that it's almost in the perfect way that will resemble a PDF, right? But we need to basically go ahead and use something called a loader to get it in the perfect format that we need to process it, right? So the way we do that is we say load the PDF document from the specified path. We say loading PDF document. We go ahead and use the new PDF loader from Langchain community document loaders. Okay, so we're using all these document loaders, and this is why Langchain is a very good framework, right? So we say new PDF loader, we pass in the data, which is the blob. Now we've got this loader object. We say loader.load, and we await on it to get the docs. Okay, next up, we have to split the characters up. Okay, so what we do now is split the documents up. So this is one big document. Remember, I said we need to split it up into chunks. Okay, and we're going to use this handy little splitter function now. So what we do is I'm going to go ahead and say, boom, split the loaded document into smaller parts for easier processing. So we basically have a console log here, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you this. This is the easier way of looking at it. Well, that's actually a nice way of doing this. We say splitting the documents into smaller parts. We use this special function. So look at this. You can see new recursive character text splitter comes from Langchain text splitter, right? We take it, and this is basically chunking out that PDF document into, and I want to mention as well, it's PDF documents, not the image PDF documents, PDF documents with text. That's how I'm basically doing it, right? Then we've got the documents by calling split documents. This will give us, like, for example, in a 2-page file, maybe 9 splits. So we'll split it into 9 different chunks. And then we can say it was split into, let's just say 9 different parts, okay? And then we're simply returning the split docs. Okay, so now we've taken our document, we've split it up into a ton of different chunks. Okay, now heading back down to here, we have the split docs that are given back to us. Okay, so we're carrying on very nicely. Where am I at now? We have the split docs. Yep. So next up, we need to store the embeddings in the namespace. And you can see that in itself will cost, you know, a query to Firestore. You don't want to keep doing that. Once you've done that step once, you want to just check if it exists and reuse it. Simple as. So next up, we say storing the embeddings in the namespace doc ID in the index name. So you should say storing the embeddings in the document ID in the PapaFam Pinecone vector store. Okay, and then what we do is we do a similar call to this, except now we're actually generating and storing the documents, right? So what we do here is we say Pinecone vector store equals await Pinecone store dot from documents. From documents means we pass in the split documents, we pass in the embeddings technique that we're using, which is OpenAI Embeddings, and then we pass in an object for the third argument, which is the Pinecone index, which is PapaFam, right? And that's basically what we prepared here. And then we have the namespace, which is the document ID. And essentially now what this will do is it will go ahead and it will push it into our namespace, right? So it'll go ahead and push it into it. So now we've got the embeddings being stored correctly, right? Once we've done that, we should return the Pinecone vector store. Simple as, right? So either way, this if block will return a vector store, but it will do it in the most efficient fashion. Okay, so that's it. Very simple as. That's how we do the generate embeddings in Pinecone vector store. So now we can go back to our generate embeddings, and we can import that function. Okay, so we can import generate embeddings in Pinecone vector store, and now we can test this out, guys. So right now, if we've done everything correctly, this is a very important checkpoint for yourself at this point, right? So what I want you to do is go over to your file, go to the drop section here, and I want you to simply take a PDF, and first things first, have it in a way where you have the check, right? So have your Pinecone vector store as in your database here, and then you can see namespace is 0, okay? And then I want you to have your app running, and then I want you to, on the side, just have your terminal open, okay, with the app running itself. And what I'm going to do here, just for demonstrational purposes, I'm going to keep it all on the same screen so we can see exactly what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to pop this on the side. And this video, I don't mind if it's a little bit longer because I really want to explain this in depth so that way no one gets confused. So I'm going to drag and drop a file into here now. As I drag and drop it, you can see now that file uploaded, saving file to database, and then it skipped the generate embedding step. So remember, we didn't actually implement generate embedding. So I messed up there. So we got to use upload, go to our hooks, and here, generate embeddings, right? So inside of the use upload, I need to go ahead and do await. So let's go ahead and do it here. I'm gonna say await, generate embeddings, and then we pass the file up ID, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and do actions, and we're gonna import it from our actions generate embeddings, right? So very, very simple use case here. Boom, done. And this will trigger it when we do the upload. So let's give this a try again. Let's go ahead and save, and let's go ahead and do this. So refresh, sorry guys. And one thing I made a mistake on here is in generate embeddings, I believe, or it was here, was it here? No, inside of my actions here, use server, that's correct. Okay, let's give it a go again over here, PDF pass. Oh, that's because that's interesting. Let's go back to our document. Yeah, let's go back to our dashboard, sorry, / dashboard. Here we are. And right now, a little bit of debugging. Let's go ahead and we've done a ton of inputs, installs. So cut your server, run it again to keep things clean. Let's go ahead and try it one more time. Let's go here. Cannot resolve PDF pass. That's later on, we will be using this PDF pass, but for now it should be fine. All right, so in this case, do the same thing, upload, and then, okay, so we're getting the same thing. It's PDF pass. Okay, so I do actually use PDF pass. So we can probably just save ourselves this hassle and just install PDF pass very easily. So what I want you to do is go into your second terminal, do npm i pdf pass. Okay, npm i pdf pass. And I believe that was a peer dependency that I just forgot to install. And as you can see, we're good now. So simple as that. You can just follow the error trail, right? Live debugging at its finest, okay? So drag and drop into here. And now you can see uploading file uploaded, saving file database, generating AI embeddings. Go to your thing and you can see that generating embeddings, fetching the download URL from Firebase, downloading it, splitting the document into smaller parts, split into 3 parts, storing the embeddings in namespace in the Puppetfan Pinecone vector store, and it redirected. Boom. That's what I'm talking about. All in one. Go to your Pinecone store and you can see, look, it split it into 3 chunks and it's right there. Boom. That is awesome. And as you can see now, our document has been stored. Right, so this is 3 vectors which resemble that document in terms of AI embed. And we've generated embeddings which have been which is essentially 3 vectors, right? So 3 of those like strings with arrays with numbers in, right? We've generated 3 of them, and that resembles the document. Okay, done. Oh, thank God. Okay, so that was good. So that was basically the hard part, really, right? So that was actually like everything that went on. And all I would say is if you get stuck there, those console logs are absolutely clutch, okay? So at this point now, that's awesome. We have it working and it's doing exactly what we need. So I guess now what we can do is we can head over to the actual page. So page.tsx, files, and then to ID, and we're inside the chat to file page. So let's go ahead and jump into that page right here. And you guys can see right now, I was not messing around. This is a big, nice, juicy build. Like, I did not cut corners with this. I'm giving you this for free. All the code for this build is available in the build as well. Okay, I keep dying about that one. So funny. All right, so now we're on this page, right? So we're going to be building out this page right here now. So we're going to have a PDF renderer. We're going to have the chat. We're going to have all of this working, and it's going to be perfect by the end of this. I promise you it's going to happen today. All right, so this would be a little bit of a longer build, but I'd rather prefer to take my time with this build and make it like an extra 45 minutes if needed, so you can actually have a breakdown of everything that's going to happen clearly than rushing it and you getting confused and getting lost. Okay, so I'm happy to take my time and do this, right? So first up, we load this page. Now, this is a server component by default because we haven't said use client. So I need a couple of things here. Firstly, I want to protect against if anyone's not authenticated in this page. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to add in auth protect. Very simple. And you'll notice you can use the same statement everywhere where we basically go ahead and are on a server. So auth protect again from Clerk, really amazing stuff from Clerk, really developer friendly as well. Next up, I can use auth to go ahead and give me the user ID as well. And you can see await. When we're in a server component, we can make the top level component file itself a async await because we're in a server environment. Next up, I need to go ahead and get the download URL for the actual PDF, right? So because I'm on that page right now, I can create a reference to, and again, remember, I'm on the server right now. So what do I use? Firebase client or Firebase admin? I can use Firebase admin because I'm in a secure environment. So now I'm going to use the Firebase admin library to go ahead and get my file and download it accordingly. So now what I do is I go ahead and say const ref equals admin database, collection users, user ID, collection files. I can promise that it's right there because I've done a check here. Document ID, get, and then I get the URL for the download. Okay, simple as that. Now what I do is inside of my div, I can get rid of this. It's not going to help me out. I'm going to have a left section and a right section. On the right section, we're going to have a chat screen. All right, so this is going to have a chat inside of it, and this is basically going to be the chat. On the right hand side, I'm going to have, on the left hand side, sorry, I'm going to have the PDF render. Okay, so this one is going to be the PDF view, and then here I'm going to have a bit of styling. Now I'm going to help you out by just kind of fast forwarding on the styling. It's basically a grid layout, and the grid layout that I'm doing is, I'm never going to get over that one. The grid layout that I'm doing is basically this. So 2 columns, right? So in this case, well, it's actually 5 columns, and this left side is taking up 3 columns, right? So this left side is taking up 3 columns, and this side is taking up 2 columns, right? Now, when I go to a small mobile view, it's going to change, and it's basically going to become a case of stacking up on top of each other. So for mobile view, you can see that, right? So it's a lot more easier to view, and then we can obviously interact with the document, and that way you can use it on your phone as well. Super easy to go ahead and navigate and use. So in order to get this dialed in and working the way we want it, I'm going to show you back over, and I hope it's helping you out by giving you constant examples of reference. This part again is really more of a case of it's my job to make it simple for you. So we've got a grid, 5 column layout on large screens only. By default, it means on mobile, it'll be 1 column, right? View. We set the height to 4, we set overflow to hidden. On the right hand side, we've got the chat portion of the screen. Now here, I'm basically going to say that part should be, again, column span of 5 on this a small screen, so that basically take up the whole width. We don't actually even need that, to be fair. Large screen column span 2, and then overflow Y auto. You actually don't need that. It doesn't make any sense. On the large screen only, it should column span 2, but we're gonna do this because we're gonna reinforce it goes back to that. Overflow Y auto, so that way it will scroll. It'll be a scroll container in case we ever need it to, in case the contents overflow. Next up here, we do the same thing, column span 5, but on the large screen, column span 3. And if you look, 3 plus 2 equals the 5 total. And that gives me that nice little separation on the screen to make sure that you see this now. Boom. We get that 3-2 split, and the same here as well. It looks really good. All right, and that way it will basically have our UI sorted out in the way that we expect it. A bit of minor style approach there. And now we're going to do the PDF view. So I'm going to create a component now called PDF view. So let's go to our components folder. I'm going to go here and type in PDF view. All right, so PDF view.tsx RFCE. This is going to be where I render the PDF. Now this is going to accept some props. The props I'm going to destructure to get the URL, and the URL is simply going to be a string. Okay, so if I go back here now, I'm going to render in my PDF view. So PDF view, and I'm going to go and say URL like so. Okay, hit save. Now inside of my PDF view, I get the URL. And basically I have the PDF view now. So here's where it gets interesting, because we're going to use something called React PDF. So I need you to follow these steps really carefully now, okay? Because this is where a lot of you could make a slip and make a very big mistake, which is going to cause you a lot of headache, right? So go on Google, type in React PDF, go to the React PDF docs, and basically first things first, install it, right? So that's the first step that we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and install it into our dependencies right now. Boom. Command J. Let me know if you're still tuning in and watching. We've still got over 2,400 people. It's insane. The retention is actually mind-blowing. I can't believe you lot are still with me. Absolutely incredible. But keep going. This challenge is going to be fire. So we're going to go and do npm install React PDF renderer. While that's installing, head back down over here, and you can see they go ahead and they somewhat introduce it, but it's kind of like they don't give you the full idea of how to actually do this, right? So I'm going to really break this one to help you out a bit. So you can go ahead and update a lot of things accordingly, but I would say at this point, just follow my lead on it. It will make it a lot easier, I promise you, okay? So in this case, the quick start guide, they tell you to a degree, but if I'm honest, I don't think they gave a very good breakdown of how it should all be done. Like they don't really tell you how the worker file should work and all that stuff. So I'm gonna keep it so easy for you. Basically, first things first, we've installed it. Go to the top. This is going to be a use client. It's going to be a server component, a client component, sorry. Yeah. We're going to import a couple of CSS files from React PDF. These are going to be what give us that base styling layer that you see here, right? So the reason why a PDF file can look this way. So that's the first step. The next step is we're going to have a few different imports, right? So a couple of these we've already installed. So React PDF, we haven't actually installed React PDF. So we need to do React PDF on its own. npm install, sorry, not that one. React PDF without the @ right? So I will go ahead and install the library. Cool. Next up, Firebase by default, the core Firebase Storage by default has some strict CORS rules. Now, what does this mean? It means from our server, we can download a file. From a browser, when you make a cross-origin download request, now what do I mean by that? Well, let's say I'm on sunnysanga.com and I make a cross-origin download request from firebase.storage.com, blah, blah, blah. That's called cross-origin. So there's a CORS error that can apply, and Firebase basically say, yeah, we're not cool with that. We're not going to let you do that because it's dangerous for a browser environment, right? So we have to basically go to Firebase and modify the CORS rules to say it's okay, you can let these guys through, right? So without doing that, it won't work the way we expect it. So what I've done is I've actually helped you out with a little bit of a snippet here, and I'm going to pop it on the screen. We need to configure CORS. This is a command that we're going to run afterwards, okay? This right here is going to be your app name. So what I want you to do is follow my prep work here that I've done. So we're going to go into our Firebase file, and our app name here is here, for example, chat with PDF challenge. Okay, copy that, go back to PDF view. The second part, I want you to replace this section with yours, right? And the same thing here, you can do that, right? Boom. And now you've got some copy snippets. And then in the next step is I want you to go to https://console.cloud.google.com. Okay, so console.cloud.google.com. Head over to that file. I'm going to open it on my screen right now. Why did that happen? Yeah. And then you want to, from the drop down, make sure you're logged into the same Google account as your Firebase. Click on this drop down, and we're going to go ahead and say chat with PDF. So chat with PDF challenge. So this is the file that I'm working on right now. Okay. Now, once we're here, head back over here, and we're going to click on create new file in the editor. Right. So we're going to call it cause.json. So what I want you to do now is you see this button over here in the top, activate Cloud Shell. I want you to click it. What we're doing now is we're going to the server and we're going to go ahead and change a bunch of things. Okay. So in this case now we're going ahead and we're opening up I want you to click on open editor. And now you can see it's setting up a Cloud Shell machine for us. So we're basically modifying some files on the cloud. And then what I want you to do is create a new file and call it cause.json. Okay. So I've already set this one up. So you're going to create cause.json. Cool. Now, once you've done that, right? So in this case, I'm actually going to delete this one so I can show you. So let's okay, what I'm actually going to double check right now is you won't have this bit here for now. Okay. So what I'll show you is let's just do a complete overview so you can see exactly how I do it. Okay. So create a new file, call it cause.json. And inside of your JSON file, I want you to go ahead and pop the following in. So we're basically saying that the origin, right now we're just saying everything, but really what you want to do is change this to your origin that you end up deploying to. So if I had sunnysanga.com, that would be sunnysanga.com, right? But in this case, we're just saying everything just because it's demo, it's fine. We're only allowing get requests because we only want to permit the get of a document, which is fine. And we're just passing in max age. Now hit save. Like Command S, and that's all good. Now, once that's done, we need to apply the CORS rule. Okay. So in this case, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close that. I'm going to click on open terminal. Right now, remember that snippet that I showed you previously, GS utils CORS set CORS JSON, and then we've got the actual URL for the app, right? I want you to copy that. And I want you to go over to here and I want you to paste it in. So gs util CORS set cause.json and then the following. Hit enter. And what this will do is it will authorize. We're going to click on authorize and then it should go ahead and do an authorization step. It says setting CORS on that, right? And at this point, if you've got an error, you probably put in the wrong URL, okay? So in that case, now it's done. That is how you do it, right? If you did exactly what I just did, then it will work, and you basically modified your cause, right? So that way now we should be able to download our PDF from the browser. If you skip this step, it will not work because Firebase Storage will say, whoa, not cool. The cause ain't aligned for it, okay? So that's done. And that prevents you from doing any other craziness. That's literally what we have to do, okay? So we can close that and forget about that ever happened, all right? So now what I can do is I can go back to my app and let's carry on building. Cool. I hope that helped out for you guys. I really tried my best to break that step down, all right? So this is basically a helpful little snippet for you guys to go ahead and follow along with. Now, next up, what I need you to do is we need something called a service worker. So the service worker is already configured for us, and it's here, pdf.js.globalworkersoptions.worker source, and this is what you can go ahead and copy in. Now I'm going to go ahead and paste that in the chat right now, so you guys can feel free to go ahead and see that for yourself. But basically that right there is, I've done the scraping, the documents online, I've done it all for you, so you can go ahead and check it out yourself. But like this is, I'm just saving you a bunch of time, right? So this is going to pull in the service worker, which is going to allow us to go ahead and get this set up. Now let's carry on with the build. All right, we've got the URL. So we need a bunch of different pieces of state. The state is going to be responsible for like the buttons we have here, the different scale, the rotation, the next page, the current page, and so forth, right? So in this case, I'm going to paste in the following. I've got number of pages, page number, file, rotation, and scale. File is just a blob, right? The rest of them are numbers, and they all have a default value, 101, easy as, right? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a use effect. So when this component loads, I'm going to have a use effect, which triggers off. And remember, use effect runs when the component mounts or when the dependency array changes. I'm going to pass a URL here. And in this side, the use effect, I'm going to basically run a fetch file function. So I'm going to have a fetch file function. This is going to be an asynchronous function, sorry. And this is how you run asynchronous stuff inside of a use effect. And here, very simply, I'm just going to do a fetch on the URL. I'm going to get it by saying response.blob. And remember, this is very similar to what we did on the server. However, we had to do that cause step because now we're doing a request from the browser to Firebase, which is why the cause was an issue. We now have the file itself and we set the file in our state. And you see, no errors, nothing. Then we execute the fetch file function. Cool. So at this point inside the file, we actually have the PDF. All right, so that's actually awesome. We have the PDF. The next thing is I'm going to create a helper function for us called, this one's going to be called, let's do const. I'm going to say on document load success. And this is exactly what I needed, by the way. So it's going to say it returns void. Yeah. So it's going to be on document load success. This right here is the argument. It's going to be a number of pages. It takes number of pages, which is basically going to be empty, returns nothing, and it sets the number of pages to the number of pages in the PDF. This we're going to use when we render out the PDF viewer. Okay. Now, what we do is we say inside the PDF view, first thing I want to do is show the document, right? So we actually pulled in the document and a couple of things over here from React PDF. So I want to just make it as simple as possible just to show it. So over here, we have the div. I'm going to go ahead and say document, and then I'm going to have inside of it page. Okay, so very simple, page is self-enclosed. Now here, document takes a couple of things. We have loading, file, rotate, onload success, and class name. All right, I'm going to pop in the following values: loading, file, rotate, onload, and class name. And then for the page, we basically pass in the class name, scale, and current page number. Okay, so scale, page number. Scale is obviously how far we've zoomed in and so forth, right? Now, I'm only going to render the document once the file is loaded, right? So this will only get set over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, if there is no file, then I'm going to render a loading icon. Otherwise, I'll render out the document. Okay, so let's give this a try. I'm going to pop this in here, and this is going to fail until I basically put my loading icon. So I'm going to have a loader 2 icon, and I'm animating it to spin. So this is a little hack, by the way. If you didn't know, you can render out the icon from Lucid Icons and make it spin using the Tailwind CSS class animate spin. Let's give this a try now. All right. If we've done it right, this will literally be looking awesome, right? So let's go over to our 3000. Let's refresh. Oh, yes. Look at that, guys. Beautiful. Right, really, really nice. Now we can load out the documents themselves. Look at that, absolutely awesome. I want you to stagger out your build so you completely test each part out, so you know if something went wrong, you know where to go ahead and break. All right, class name, flex column. All right, then we're going to say justify center, items center. Go back, test it out. Let's go ahead and see. And now you can see, look, it restricts the size, and immediately now that's beautiful. That's really nice, right? And if I was to go ahead and zoom in, you see the overflow is completely scrollable and stuff like that. So absolutely cool, really nice. Next step, I want to have the buttons on the top, which allow me to change the pages and all that good stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a sticky header. And what sticky means is it means that if I scroll down past the viewpoint, it will go ahead and attach to the top of the screen. So I'm going to say div, and inside that I'm going to have another div. And I'm going to have a couple of buttons, okay? So the first button is going to be a button, which is going to have a variant outline, disabled if the page number is 1. And when we click it, I'm going to have an inline arrow function, which says if the page number is greater than 1, set the page number to page number -1. So this is going to be the previous page. Cool. Next up, I'm going to show the page number. So it'll show like you're on page 1 of 2. Okay. Then we're going to have a next button as well. So next button is going to be the following. I'm going to space these out so you guys can see very clearly. This button here, variant outline, disabled if we hit the max number of pages. So we shouldn't be able to say on page 2 of 2, next page. Then we're going to say on click, if number of pages, page number, if the page number is less than number of pages. So 2 defensive statements really here. Then we say set page number is page number +1. Right. So in this case, now we should see that on the screen. And you can see now we can test it. Look, oh, I can navigate through pages. Nice, right? And that piece of state is being passed through to the document, which renders out that. So let's go ahead and actually style that a little bit nicer. So the surrounding div here, I'm going to go ahead and say max width 6XL, padding grid columns is 6 and gap 2. And right now you can see automatically there, and we're going to have 3 more things in that grid, which is why I've done grid 6. And then the div over here, I'm going to go ahead and say it's a sticky div. It's going to have some styling accordingly. So let's go ahead and do that. Sticky top 0, Z50, background gray 100, padding 2, round the bottom edge of the corners. All right, so now you can see if I screenshot this, refresh this, you can see that. But if I was to go ahead and actually scroll down, you see how that's sticking to the top? That's exactly what we wanted. So that's why we do the sticky behavior, all right? There we go. Pause. All right, and now once you've done that, I'm going to rotate the clockwise. So next up, we've got the button here. And then I'm going to have button, variant outline, on click, set rotation, rotation +90, modulus 360. A little bit of maths here, right? Quick maths. But basically, all I'm saying there is it's going to rotate 90 degrees. And say if you go past 360, so 360 +90, modulus 360 will basically go full circle. So you'll basically never go past 360. It'll be like 90, 180, 270, 360, 90, 180, 270, 360, 90, 180, 270, 360. That's why you use a modulus function here, right? So yeah, your boy's all right at maths, right? So he knows his thing, but you don't need to be good at maths. You just need to know that's how it worked. And then that rotates. Cool. And remember, that's a piece of state. That piece of state gets pulled through here. It's not magic. It's working by passing through a state over there. Cool. We've got the rotate function working. Same thing happens with the zoom. Simple as we've got the button for the zoom in. Let's go ahead and put that in. Button for the zoom in. We disable it if the scale is greater than 1.5. I don't want them to keep on, scaling in infinitely. And then we basically say if you click it, set scale to scale times 1.2. And you can increase this jump in scale if you want and so forth. I'll have the same thing for zoom out, and then we're golden, guys. So let's scale, zoom out. I'm going to do the same thing. You can only zoom out up until a certain point. Cool. Let's give that a try now. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Boom, boom, boom. And you can see our max zoom in, zoom out. Nice. Awesome stuff. Go ahead and do that. Look at that. Absolutely incredible stuff. All right. And look again here. If I go ahead and do this, look at that. Really cool, guys. Really, really nice. And you can obviously zoom out accordingly and so forth. Nice. Next up, let's do the chat section. So we're moving. We're actually moving really good. All right. See what I mean? Today was a very challenging build. We've got a lot to do, right? So I'm going to move a bit faster now. So we're going to go ahead and absolutely fly now through this section. So PDF view done. Now I want to go to, because I want to get this done before the 3-hour mark, files page.id. So we got the PDF view done. The next section is the chat. So what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and have a chat component. So here we're going to have chat and we're going to pass in the ID. Oh, look what song came on, guys, for the anthem. Here we go. We've got the chat components. Let's go ahead and hit save, comment this, copy that, sorry, what am I talking about? Yeah, and create a new file called chat.tsx. Done. RFCE into that chat function chat. There we go. Okay. Now this takes in, like I said, a prop, which is the ID of the chat. The ID of the chat. This is going to go ahead and pass in as ID string. So there we go. And this is going to be a client component, right? So use client. In case just you're wondering, the reference for this, what we're going to be doing is it's going to be this chat right here. We're building this right now as we speak. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to import a bunch of things that we're going to need. So I'm going to go ahead and pass all these things in like so. Right. We need to install the, let's comment that out for now, comment out that for now, React Firebase hook. So let's do this right now. We need to install input from shadcn. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So shadcn, go over here, go to docs, go to input. Where is it? Input. Go ahead and do npx shadcn latest add input, Command J. Go ahead and do the install. That will add the input field. Done. React Firebase hooks. We will be using this as well. So let's go over here. React Firebase hooks. I want to go ahead and actually I'll show you the actual Google search for that so you can see it. React Firebase hooks, npm, very popular package, npm install, take it, go ahead and install it. Very handy little library, by the way. Whoever made that, gee, honestly, very good move. All right, so you got that down, install that. Now what we do is we go ahead and what kind of question was that? Someone's come out with the most crazy question right now. All right, at this point, I'm going to get the user's information by saying const user. I'm going to get 3 pieces of state. All right, so in this case, I'm going to get the input is pending and start transition. We'll use this later on. I'll explain that later on. And then we've got the message, right? In this case, we don't have a message yet, right? So I'm going to go ahead and define what that is afterwards as well. Eventually, what we're going to do is we're going to have a message type. So for now, what I'll do is I'll prepare this. So I'm going to go ahead and say export type message. Each message will have an ID, a role, human, AI, or placeholder. We're going to have a message, which is a string, and a created at, which is a date. Okay. So in this point, we're just preparing ourselves. And then in this case, eventually we're going to have our ask question action and chat message. There we go. Cool. Now, in terms of the chat itself, let's go ahead and start building out this so it starts looking a bit cleaner. So the chat itself is going to be a div. Inside of here, we're going to have the chat contents. This div is going to be styled accordingly. So the style, I think at this point, we can go ahead and pop them in so you guys can see for yourself. This is very self-explanatory. It's a flex column container. We've got the chat contents, right? So the first thing is, I want the chat contents to take up the majority of the room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dial the music down a little bit now so we can focus. But I'm going to basically say that this is flex 1. So you always want that to take up the majority of the room, and I want it to be a width of 4. So the chat contents will be here. So chat messages and so forth will go here, yeah? So yeah, I'm going to put the music down as well. I agree with you guys. I can't focus on that. So in this case, let's just change it up a little bit because I think we're getting a bit more intense again. Okay, there we go. That's nicer. All right. So we got the chat messages, and then underneath all of this, I'm going to have the form, and the form is going to be the chat itself, right? So in this case, it'll be the actual chat itself. So this right here. Yeah. So that chat down there, get rid of that. You can go ahead and use the full form from shadcn if you want. I kept it relatively simple, you know, just makes life easier. And then you can go ahead and do that one. That one's got Zod and all that stuff as well. And then here, we're going to go ahead and say ask, okay? Now, in this case, right, Thava, yo, like this guy's coming out with some big questions. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to code, right? So in this case, we got the onSubmit function of the form. So in this case, it'll say handle submit. And and then we're gonna have a function here for the submit. We're gonna say handle submit equals an asynchronous event, and this is just a form event that gets fired off. And the first thing we're gonna do with a form event is say prevent default, and this will stop it from like refreshing itself. So that's how we do the form. I'm gonna make the form sticky so that way it always stick to the bottom of the screen, right? And then we've got the input itself. Now the input, I'm gonna have a placeholder, a value, and we're going to keep it tracking to the input state. So in this case, value is input, and every time the user types in, we update the input. Placeholder is ask a question, easy as. Cool, let's come back here. And as you can see now, if I go over to my locals 3000, chat is not defined. That is because I'm trying to import chat. Oh yeah, sorry, page over here. We need to actually import it. Import, like so, okay? Head back over to our chat code. And as you can see now, look, already looking kind of nice, right? So at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna disable the submit button if the input is not there, or if we're pending, right? So look at this, disable type submit, or disable. So if there's no input, we're going to disable, or if it's pending. Pending is really handy. It's from use transition. I might make a video on that because it's my favorite thing lately. And what we're going to do is, if it's pending, and pending is going to be true when the user is sending and waiting for a message response, right? So I'm going to say, if it's pending, we're going to show a loader icon. Otherwise, it will say ask. Right, so in this case, it just says ask. But when I basically go ahead and hit the ask key, so when I hit that, I want it to spin around while I'm waiting for a response to come back. Right, and it's going to be a lot easier than you think. Right, so that's the first thing. Next up, we're actually going to go ahead and set up the chat itself. So where we have the chat messages being rendered here, first up, I'm going to say if it's loading. So if I'm loading the chat messages itself. So first up, before I do any of that, I'm going to use that React Firebase hooks to go ahead and basically make a connection to the database. Now, this snippet right here is from React Firebase hooks. What this is doing is basically creating a real-time listener to the collection that we specify here. This is the collection where we store the user's files. Remember the database, the user's entry, the user's ID, the files, the ID, the chat. Chat is the collection within the file that we haven't yet created or pushed data to, but that's where we're going to store the chat. We're going to surround it in a query because we want to order it by created at ascending, okay? And we only want to run this if the user is present, okay? So all these things quite important. Now, snapshot gives me a real-time listener of the chat documents, right? So the chat documents are present here. Now, once we have that, what we want to do is we want to basically create a use effect, and we're going to update our messages accordingly. So I'm going to create a use effect. And this use effect is only going to fire off when snapshot changes or when the component mounts. Okay, that's the first thing. If there is no snapshot, what we're going to say is no snapshot return. Otherwise, for debugging, I'll say updated snapshot and just show me the snapshot docs. What I want to do then is I want to go ahead and get the second last message. So messages.pop. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing this now is we will go ahead and when I send a new message, I'll show you exactly what we do. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to pause on this. We will come back to this section in a moment, right? So we'll come back to this afterwards. This is going to make a lot of sense once I handle the submit function. So let's handle the handle submit function. So say I type in into here, I say ABC and I hit enter. When I hit enter, handle submit fires off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy my input into a variable, a temporary one called Q. So it stands for question. And then what I can do is, because I've got a copy of it, I can basically make the UI immediately show that it cleared the input folder. Even if I do this now, if I hit enter, like every time I hit enter, but the variable is being stored into Q. Okay. So once that's done now, I'm going to basically temporarily put in my own fake message into my messages store. And the way I do is I say set messages, whatever was previously in my messages, and I'm going to artificially add in the question that I've asked, plus the AI is going to say, I'm thinking. Okay. So basically right now what is happening is, that's nice. Awesome. Someone goes such a high when you get the PDF uploaded. Honestly, it really is. Right. So this is like a temporary. And the reason why we do this is called something called an optimistic update, right? Optimistic UI update. So I'm teaching you lots of different principles here. All right. Quick little water break. Okay. So we've got an optimistic update. So I'm basically artificially putting in the values straight away. So on the user side, it happens so immediately. I don't want them to think, oh, it's not working and right? Now, what we have is this special function called start transition. All this is basically you just wrap an asynchronous function inside of it. And while it's loading, the is pending is true. That's all it does. It's just a helpful wrapper, and we can basically do some cool things with it. So here, I can make this an asynchronous inside function. And now I can just do whatever I was going to do anyway, right? So I'm basically going to have a special function that I'm about to create, a server action, and this server action will return to me success or a message, right? Success or a message. And we're going to create a server function called ask question. And this is going to take the ID of the document as well as the question. Okay, so very, very simple and basically clean. Now, if anything went wrong, so for example, if there was any mistake that happened, all I need to do is basically clear out. So basically ignore the toast now. For now, I'm going to say this is tomorrow. So we're going to do toast notifications tomorrow. But basically here, if there was no success, so like, you know, if this came back as false, we basically are going to slice out the previous message from the AI. So where it said thinking, and we're basically going to change it to be whoops, something went wrong. Okay, so basically you see how we're handling the optimistic update accordingly. Okay, now let's create this ask question functionality. This is really where the magic is going to happen, and this is where we also expand on the Langchain stuff to take the embeddings that we previously created and go ahead and actually pass it through into Langchain so we can process our query and get an AI response back. So let's create a new action called ask question. Ask question.ts. Sorry, yeah. So with this, I'm going to create the signature for the file, ask question. But first things first, whenever you do a server action, you have to say use server at the top of the file. Cool. And once that's done, a couple of quick things. We're going to protect this against unauthorized users because Clerk have made it so easy to do that. We're going to go ahead and import our auth object like so. Okay, so we've got auth.protect const user ID equals await auth. Then we've got a couple of things here. I'm going to have a free plan and a pro plan. This is going to be for tomorrow. Free being, you know, if you can ask up to 3 questions. Pro plan, you can ask up to 100 questions. Okay, then we're going to have a special helper file, which we're going to create called generate Langchain completion. So we haven't done that yet, but we're going to do that, right? And it's going to be from there. But let's go ahead and jump in. So first things first, I need a reference to the chat messages which are currently being stored or where I'm going to push them to, right? So the way we do this is we basically are going to access where we're going to store the messages. Now, admin DB, we can pull in from Firebase. So we've got the collection of users, user ID files, and we go to that file and we say, okay, get into the chat collection. All right. Now what we do is we get the chat itself and we see how many of the messages were the user's actual message. Okay, so in this case, if the message that was sent was a human message, we can count up the messages accordingly. This is going to be handy for later on. So this is going to be tomorrow, where we basically limit the pro or free users accordingly, right? So we're going to use this accordingly when we do that. Okay, now we're going to skip over the next section because we're going to do that tomorrow. So that's going to happen tomorrow. But the next thing is we're going to say const user message that we're going to add to the database is going to be of type message. Now, remember in the component, the chat component, we had the type of message here. So we're making sure that we're actually protecting and using the same type of message. We have a new object here and we're going to say row is going to be AI. Or actually it's going to be human here. Sorry, human. And then we're going to say the message is the question that gets passed through, which is the second argument. And then we're going to say created at equals new date. Okay, so created at is going to be new date, like so. Cool. Now we've got the human user's message. We're going to add that to the database. All right, so in this case, boom, we add it to the database. Remember, the entire time this is happening on the front end, there's a real-time listener, which is picking up these messages and we can go ahead and render it on the screen. Okay, so we go ahead and have that. And then we're going to basically, this is where we generate the AI response. So this is when we say generate AI response to the question that I've asked. So this generate Langchain completion is what we're going to go ahead and build. Now this reply is going to be we're going to basically structure it. So I'm going to prepare everything beforehand. We're going to go and say AI message equals a message where the role is AI. The message is simply the text that is from generate Langchain completion, and the created at is going to be the timestamp. And then you guessed it, we're going to add that to the database. Okay. And then all we need to do here, guys, is return success, true, message, no. The reason why this will work is we need to go ahead. We're going to expand on this afterwards by modifying chat to make sure it works perfectly. But the real-time listener, all we need to do is just push data into the database. The real-time listener on the front end, that's where the magic is going to happen. And it's really going to have because it's real time, it's going to see the new messages pop in, and it's just going to overtake and it's going to reflect in our messages. All right, so I'm going to show you how we can fully build that out. But the main thing now is generating the Langchain completion. This is where we head over to Langchain.ts file. Okay, so back into our big bulky Langchain file, and the fun stuff happens, right? So what we need to do is create this generate Langchain completion file, a function. Head over down to the bottom. And we're going to do it here. We're going to say, right at the bottom, we're going to say generate Langchain completion. Const generate Langchain completion is an asynchronous function, takes the document ID and the question. Okay. Now the same principle is going to apply here. Remember, we start off with a Pinecone vector store, right? So let Pinecone vector store, and this is where we done all of our stuff earlier on, right? We said generate embeddings in Pinecone vector store. Remember, the good thing about this function that we did earlier was it reuses the namespace, so it won't have to regenerate. It's efficient. So that'll give me the Pinecone vector store. Once I have that, what we're going to do is we're going to start rendering out things accordingly. So this is all Langchain. Now, as I go through this next part, what I want you to understand is I'm going to explain it as simple as I possibly can. However, it's up to you as well to go ahead and cross-reference what I'm saying with Langchain and actually just educate yourself on how Langchain chains work. But I'll do my best to try and explain how this part works, right? So in this case, we've got this. So next bit here, we're going to create something called a retriever. A retriever is simple as it sounds. It basically is like, this is the retriever, which is going to go ahead and get the information like the OpenAI embeddings and that kind of stuff. So what we do is we take our retriever, which is here. So firstly, if there's no Pinecone store, throw an error. And then we basically go ahead and get this. So really what I could do here is I can make this a bit more clearer by doing the following, right? We have a protective bit of statement. There we go. And create a retriever to search through the vector store. We get our Pinecone vector store and we just run as a retriever on it. And this will give us like a object where we can basically do some cool stuff with. Okay. Now, next thing, we need to fetch the database messages. Okay. So think about what we're doing now. We're collecting all the information that we're going to input into our AI model to give it context so that way it can correctly answer my question. So basically think about it this way. The input now would be the PDF file in embeddings format. It will be the previous messages and all that kind of good stuff. And then once it has that, it's going to come together and it's going to go ahead and basically generate an output, which is a response. Okay, so fetch the chat history from the database. We need to create a helper function called fetch messages from database. Scroll all the way up to the top. I'm going to do it here, right? So what I'm going to do, and obviously you can go ahead and create these in separate functions or whatnot, you know, move it out to different folders and whatnot, right? So we're going to say asynchronous function, and I'll tell you what, I'll make it easier for us. We'll do asynchronous function, fetch messages from database, takes the document ID, very simply, defensive programming statement, check the user is authenticated. If there's no user is not found, simple as. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fetch the messages from the database. We're used to this bit. Look at this, right? Fetch the users from the database. Now, what you can do, if you don't want it to basically fetch, like say there was 95 messages from the past, you don't want to fetch all of them, you could add a limit in as well, right? So I'm going to leave that one up to you, but you could add a limit in if you really wanted to by basically saying just like, for example, if you want to limit by the last 6 messages, you could say limit 6, you could say const, and you could go ahead and do that and uncomment this. In this case, I'm actually going to fetch all of them, okay? Because I don't mind about that kind of stuff happening. So we're going to go through all of our files, order it by, and we're going to get them. Okay, so this gives me the chat, right? Next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the chat history and I'm going to map it into a special type of format that the Langchain model can understand. So what we're doing here is we're basically chats.docs is in the Firebase structure. So we map through all of them, and this is in the way that Firebase stores file. Now, this doesn't fly with Langchain. Langchain needs to know 2 things. One thing really. Am I an AI message or am I a human message? So we can use these helper functions now. This is called an implicit return. So I'm going to just draw this out for you very simply, right? This is essentially saying this. So we're basically return, like if we have a code block here, we're saying return if this is true. So if you're a human message, return new human message. And basically this is a helper function from Langchain, right? Call messages. And basically when we can pass these through to the Langchain model, and it can actually go ahead and say, okay, that's human message, that's an AI message. Okay. So we can shorthand this because we've only got one line of code. We can do an implicit return instead. So that's how I write it like this. So now this will convert the chat.docs, which is in Firebase's format, into a format which is essentially an array of human messages and AI messages, simply put. And now we can basically go ahead and say fetched the messages and return the chat history. Okay, so fetched last however many messages successfully. You console log it out for now. In this case, this is all debugging. You can leave these, you can delete these if you're ready and done. Then we return the chat history. Cool. Head back down under, and now we've got the chat history. So you see how we're slowly building this bit out, okay? Now the next part is we need to do something called, we need to define a prompt template. Okay, now the prompt template is basically, and you can really go ahead and take this as far as you want and tack on different chains now. So we've got the input, then you can say do this, do this, do this, do this, generate output. So I'm just going to go ahead and set you up in a way where you can go ahead and really fly with it yourself. But we've got something called a history aware prompt, right? So this one is basically like, so we say chat prompt template, which we import like so. And then we say from messages, right? And in this case, I've actually got the chat history, which we've gone ahead and fetched over here. We've got the user's input, and you can see these curly brackets is basically the input, which we're eventually going to feed into the model. So we're basically creating like a template that we're basically preparing. And then afterwards, I'm going to say, yeah, this is where the input is going to go, right? And then I can pass in some contextual conversation. I say, given the above conversation, generate a search query to look up in order to get information relevant about the conversation. All right. So in this case, chat history. So this will generate a prompt that will be ideal to search against the things that are inside of my code, right? So in this case, we've got the first step done. Then what we do is we generate a history aware retriever chain. So in this case, I'm going to show you how this one works. We're going to pop this down here. We're going to create, basically we say const history aware retriever chain, right? And then what we have is we have our prompt here. We say await create history aware retriever, and think about it, it's literally like history aware. It has the chat history. So we basically pass in the LLM, which is the model, and the model was this one right here. And you guys remember you were talking about ChatGPT 4o mini, right? And I think, I'm not sure if this will show me the completions, but I don't know, it doesn't actually show me, but you could use ChatGPT 4o mini as well, right? So in this case, we've got the model. So we pass in the LLM that we're using. This is the model. Pass in the retriever, which is our Pinecone vector store. And then we pass in the rephrase prompt. And this is the one that's just basically saying all of the previous messages. Then it says the input, which is going to be a placeholder for what we basically passed in at the end. And it says, given the user, given the above information, generate a search query. So this will basically become a rephrased prompt, right? So basically it will generate a prompt from all of this information. And that is basically how we can be aware of the previous history. Now, once we've done that, right, we can go ahead and define something, another prompt template. So let's go ahead and pop this in, and you can go ahead and pause this and take as long as you want. We're going to basically define a prompt template for answering questions. And what we do here is we say history aware retrieval prompt. We say chat prompt template from messages. And now we say a system message. Answer the user's question based on the below context. Pass in the chat history, pass in the user input. To be honest, I believe I was messing around with something because I think one of these could be removed, to be fair. I'm pretty sure one can be removed, but I'm not going to do it live right now. But that's just, I want to shout that one out. And the reason being is because at this point, I was also having a search term that I was adding in, but I canceled that in the end. Now, the next bit after this, we create something called a document combining chain. Now, what this does is it takes the prompt, right, from here. So this one, it takes this prompt. Give me 1 second. I just need to remember. So yeah, it takes this prompt. And again, really, these are examples of two of the same kind of prompts, right? But what you can do here is you can basically make this, instead of a chat history, you can basically go ahead and do like another search chain. You've got 2 retrieval chains, and then we're going to combine them afterwards, okay? So creating a document combining chain, we basically history aware, create stuff document chain. We pass in the model, we pass in the history aware retrieval prompt, which is this one here. Okay, so that's just essentially another example of the same. The reason why I'm showing you this is because I want to show you how you can take 2 different chains and combine them together. And I'm going to combine them right now. What we do is we say, create the main retrieval chain. Okay, so here we say conversational retrieval chain equals await create retrieval chain. We pass in the retriever, which is this history aware retriever. So this one, the first one. Combine docs chain, and this one here, combine docs chain. Oh, I want to mention as well, by the way, I completely have forgot to mention, it was actually the where was I putting in the docs? So just to let you guys know, the docs were inside of my docs. Where were the docs again? It was actually passed in. It's quite a bit here. Oh yeah, sorry. The docs are automatically inside because we've got the retriever, which is based on the Pinecone vector store. Okay, that was why. Yeah, I was getting a bit confused there. All right, so the retriever automatically has the docs inside of it, because remember, that's where we're basically getting the vector embeddings from. And then we're combining it with the prompt, and this prompt is fetching from the Firebase all the messages from it. So now we've got this conversational retrieval chain, which allows us to basically use all of the context, meaning the chat messages, as well as OpenAI embeddings from the vector store in Pinecone. Now, once we've done that, cool. Okay. Now we can go ahead and actually run the chain with the sample conversation. All right, so what is this bit? We basically go ahead and do the main question, right? So this is where we actually go ahead and execute on it. So here, I want to go ahead and say reply. We call it AI reply, basically. We basically say conversational retrieval chain dot invoke, and we can basically pass in the chat history, which is basically, if you think about it here, right? We're passing in chat history, which is basically going to be the history from the chat, like which is fetched from Firebase, and we pass in our input question. And remember, all of these little samples where it says input, this is going to get replaced with the input. Okay. Now, once we've got the reply, all we do is I'm going to console log it and return the answer. Right. So in this case, this is going to be reply. Sorry. Yeah. Now, the good thing about this is you don't have to do anything dodgy. Like it says answer and context, and that's it. So reply to answer. Now this will process everything that we've done. It will process the vector embeddings, the previous messages, and it will run it against GPT-4o, and then it will go ahead and allow us to do what we need to do. And it will give us back a simple string, which will resemble the AI response. So we say model, generate Langchain completion, done. Now we hit close on that, and we need to import it. All right. So there we go. That part right there, take your time on it. I promise you, take your time on that part. That's where everyone may get a bit caught up. You will get through it, I promise, but take your time on it. That's probably the most difficult part of the entire build. Once you've done that, huge props. Well done. Okay. This is why I really need the community to pull together and help each other out. The reply will have the text reply from our model. Okay. Now, this is the moment of truth. Because what we want to do now is, before I run all of this, I want to go back over to my function, which was inside of this. Go back over to the actual chat page itself. Let's go to the chat component down here. And remember what I said. All we're doing on that ask question is we're actually just pushing stuff into the database, and then on the front end, because we've got this snapshot, we're just listening to what's going on, right? So this is the use effect, which I didn't actually complete yet. So let's go ahead and update that bit of code, and then I think we're good to test this out. Okay, so use effect. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and say right now, remember, we optimistically updated the messages. So in this case, we actually had the human message, which was optimistically pushed in. Then we had the AI message, which said thinking. Now, what we do here is, firstly, we can import our ask question. All good. We've now finished that, so we can import it like so. We don't need that, so we can get rid of that. Then what we can do is we can pop the previous message, which was our placeholder one. Otherwise, it will say thinking with the response after it, which doesn't make any sense, right? So we say const last message equals messages dot pop, messages dot pop, all right, dot pop. like so. And basically we need to check if the AI is thinking. So that's what we're essentially doing here, right? Now what we do is we say, if that last message was either the row was AI or the last message was thinking, you can return as a dummy placeholder message. So we just basically want to keep it there, right? We don't want to update with any Firestore stuff for now, right? Otherwise, what we're going to do is we're going to basically render through the real-time messages and map it through to our messages itself. So we say const new messages equals snapshot.docs, which is the real-time feedback from Firebase. We map through all of the docs. We say for every single doc, I want to render out. And then what we do is here, I'm going to destructure the document data to get the row message and create it out. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and return it. So basically what I'm doing is I'm restructuring the Firebase format, right? Which is basically like, it's got all of this extra stuff in I don't care about. All I care about now is the ID, the row, message, and create that. So I'm restructuring it into a messages here. I'm going to set messages. So set messages as the new messages, right? Now, at this point, when you try and build, it's gonna complain here saying that you need to include messages, right? You need to include messages into here. So like you might think that you might do this. If you do that, you're gonna have an infinite loop. Don't do that, right? The reason being is because we're setting messages here, but we're also using it. So it technically is a dependency, but we're doing it in a controlled fashion. So this is where your idea of use effect really needs to be nailed in. So in this case, set messages. Okay, unreachable code. That's because we're actually outside of the wrong block. So here, this one should have been down here, right? So if it grays out like that, don't ignore it. That's wrong. Yeah, so that's better now. Now, once we've done that, in our messages, we should actually have access to everything that we need. So in order to get this dialed in, I'm just going to render out messages now. So let's go down here, and to test this all out, where we have chat messages, before we create a very nice kind of chat message functionality, I'm simply going to go ahead and just do a messages length, right, and render out. So say messages dot map for every single message. I'm going to render out something like this, a div with just a key being the message ID, message.id. And then I'm going to go ahead and just say a p tag with message.message. That will actually be the text. Now let's give it a try, guys. So here, if we did all that right, then it would work, right? So in this case, we're going to say, hello, what is this document about? Question mark. Hit enter. Thinking. At this point on the back end, what's happening is we're actually doing a bunch of things. So if I go over here, look, you see how all of this work, guys? Look, oh my God, that's so cool, right? Generating embeddings namespace already exists. Creating a retriever, fetching chat history from Firestore database, fetch the last one message successfully. What is this document about? Defining a prompt template, creating a history aware retrieval template, basically doing the Langchain work to create a main retrieval chain. Then it runs the chain with the conversation, the input. This document is about Alex, a highly skilled coder known as a code whisperer who resides in Techville. That will then go ahead and update the database. And then, boom, it shows on the screen. Hey, now I can go ahead and say something else. And remember, it's contextually aware of what I previously said. So explain what you just said a little more. All right. And look, it says thinking. And at this point, it will do exactly, it will go ahead and take this into previous context. And we can see here for ourselves, you see previous context was found. It went ahead and said, fetch the last 3 messages successfully. And boom, sure, I'll break it down. Background on Alex. Alex is this person skilled in coding, living in a city called Techville. So you see how it's contextually aware of the previous conversation as well as the AI embeddings. Firstly, damn round of applause for that, because that was incredible, right? That is literally combining so much cool tech into one instance. And you can see once we've got that chain ready from Langchain, you just pass an input in, you pass the previous chat history, and then boom, we get our beautiful output. Now that's the first thing. Absolutely beautiful stuff. Now I want to make this look good. This looks crap. I want to make it look nice. Okay. So first things first, really, really cool. Aldo goes, amazing use of AI, Sunny. Thank you so much. I really wanted to take it that step further and show you guys how you can actually really make something quite useful, right? So now we can chat to our PDF documents. And now what I've done is in that side of that sample, I've actually put questions at the end of it, right? So what percentage of the city systems were affected by a critical error? So you can literally ask it these questions, right? So let me go ahead and just put like this one here. What percentage of city systems were affected by the critical error? So while it's thinking about that, you can go ahead and do it, right? So in that case, let it do its thing. And that's actually going to give me an answer. So we're going to find the answer to it while it's doing it. Look, the document states that 25% of the city systems were affected by critical error. So we can look at it. Look, the error affected 25% of the city systems. Boom. This is no joke. I've actually used this app myself on my own like financial documents and stuff like that. So really actually helped me out a lot. Now, the final step is we're going to go ahead and actually get a few things loaded in. So let's go ahead and do the chat messages. Right, this chat messages doesn't look nice at the moment. Firstly, if it's loading, I want to show a loader on it, right? So in this case, if loading, I'm going to show a loader, else I will show the messages. Okay, so that's the first thing. So I'm going to put that in there. Otherwise, here, I'm going to go ahead and show a loader. Now, for the loader, I'm going to pop in the following. I'm going to say it's a div surrounding everything, simply a loader to icon. And then I'm going to, inside of here, I'm going to have a div. I'm going to pop the messages inside of that. So there you go. So this is basically where you're going to be at. We've got the loader icon, and then we have the, I can see the hearts flying in. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you all. All right, we've got the div messages.map. And as you can see now, it will load. So if I go back over here and I refresh, look at this. Oh, just so slick, right? That is slick. That is nice, clean as hell. Now for the messages itself, what I want you to do is we're basically firstly going to say, if the messages.length is equal to 0, then I'm going to basically go ahead and say, well, ask me a question, right? And then we're going to have this chat message component, which is going to beautifully render it out. So in this case, if I go down here to localhost 3001, this is exactly what I want it to look like. But initially, if I haven't asked a question, it'll say, ask me a question as AI. All right, so in this case, the AI asked me a question about a document. Okay, Sunny, nobody can match your energy, man. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, dude. Yeah. In this case, we got the messages as well down here. Now we're also gonna have auto scroll functionality on this build. So yeah, your boy's done it all. I've literally done all this for you. Let's check this out. Boom. And then we're gonna go ahead and this girl is fire. And then we're gonna go here, chat message. Afterwards, we're gonna render all the messages out. Sorry. And then we've got the messages being passed through. So I will build this chat message in just a second. The only thing I want to show you is to have the auto scroll functionality. So when I imagine if this was fully packed out, I want it to scroll to the bottom every time I type in. So there's a little trick you can do, guys. All you do is you put a div at the end of the messages. It can be a self-closed div. Attach a reference to this div. So in this case, I say bottom of chat reference. We create this up the top. So we basically go ahead and say const bottom of chat reference equals use ref. And this is a reference inside of something in React. And now what we do is we create something called a use effect, which we've used already. And this code fires off whenever the messages changes. So every time a new message comes in from our real-time listener, what I want you to go ahead and say is bottom of chat ref dot current dot scroll into view. Okay, so this is why I want you to basically pay very close attention. We're going to say here dot scroll into view, and this is because current may be undefined. And then we pass in the behavior, and the behavior is going to be smooth. And that is how you get that smooth scroll functionality. So every time a new message will come in, it will simply just automatically scroll to the bottom. Right, so a little quick water break, absolutely killing it. Crazy stuff, honestly, really, really awesome. Just all I ask right now is you just destroy that like button. I did all of this work, guys. I built the entire thing in like 4 days, 3-4 days after doing the Notion clone. I had done non-stop to get this out, right? Just so you guys can benefit. So all I ask is you just destroy that like button and subscribe, okay? Energy's next level, let's keep going. Nice, thank you so much, man. Right, what we're gonna do now is chat message, this component, right? Chat message, fairly straightforward. We're gonna go and say chat message.tsx, RFCE, pull up the chat message. Oh, you guys are awesome. I could just tell everyone was just dialed in. For a second, I was like, yo, where's everyone at? But everyone's just dialed in. Now look, everyone's coming in. Awesome stuff. Look, amazing alpha, awesome. Thank you so much. Use client. It's gonna be a chat client component. Very simple. We're just gonna go ahead and get the user who's logged in, and we're going to check if the person is human or not. And basically we pass in the message itself, and this is going to be of message type. So what we can do is we can pass this in. We're going to import our message. Remember the one that we had over here. So we're using it. Obviously you can export that out into separate files, make it like as neat as you want. I'm going to do a couple of imports here. Right, import message from, we don't actually do that one, we do our own one. Oops, no, don't do that, do that. We're going to use React Markdown. So I want you to go ahead and install React Markdown into your libraries, npm I React Markdown. I also want to show you a step, by the way. So this is working now. However, if you do have any problem at any point with this bit rendering, I just want to mention there is a little fix, right, that you could do. So just pause here and go to next.config.mjs, and I want you to include this bit right here, right? So at any point when you're setting up the React PDF, you can go ahead and pop in this webpack config.resolve.alias.canvas equals false, and then return the config. This may cause you an issue, so I want you to be aware of that. So basically include this in your next config and it will fix that issue from happening if you run into it. If not, don't worry about it, right? But they recommend you add that in. Now with the chat message, we can check if it's human accordingly and so forth. But the first up, we're gonna go ahead and say a very little easy bit of styling here by saying, if it's human, it'll be the chat end, otherwise chat start. Now these are all coming from DaisyUI. The DaisyUI is a really nice little chat bubble that you can use. Here we're going to have a div. We're going to have two divs actually. So here we're going to say div times 2. All right, so we've got two divs. The bottom div is going to go ahead and basically have the chat image avatar styling. Okay, so chat image avatar. Inside of here, we're going to have a div as well. So this one's going to have a div as well. And this one is basically just going to have if it's human, we're going to show something. Otherwise, we're going to show a bot, right? So here, I'm going to pop this in. And again, you can pause it right now and see. If it's human and the user has a profile picture, then we're going to go ahead and render the image. So the user's image, and then we're going to say profile picture, width 40, height 40, class name rounded 4. Otherwise, render the bot face with the appropriate styling. All right, fairly straightforward. Underneath all of that, in the second div, we're going to show the message. So the first bit is we're going to style it accordingly. So the styling, it should look something like this. I want you to go ahead and do the following. Chat bubble, pros, is human. I don't know if we actually needed pros, but you can mess around with that yourself. Is human, at background, indigo, text white. So if it's human, we're going to change color. Okay. This is where we basically have the message. Now, I'm going to check for that placeholder message. This is kind of a light check, but basically what I'm doing is if the AI was thinking, I'm going to show a little loader icon. Okay. So what we do is if message is equal to thinking, and again, you can make that more robust as you wish. Oh my God, sorry. and then you're going to show the loader icon centered. Otherwise, we're going to surround the message in React Markdown. And that way, if it returns any information back in Markdown format, it will look the way it should look. With that said, that's done, right? So this will load out a perfect message. Go back over to our chat component, go down to the chat message and import it like so. Okay. The key here, placeholder 1, that's fine. Chat message key, we pass in the key. Remember, when you're mapping through anything, you should pass in a key. Cool. Now, once you've done that, head back over, and this is not the right one. It's 3000 here. Chat message is not defined. So in this case, we did import chat message. So now we should be able to refresh, close that off. Let's see if we get this. So what I'm going to do now is actually restarted. I changed the next config. So there you go. Okay, now this is good. Image cluck is not configured as a image in next config. Remember, when we use the next image component, which we are using here, right, we need to whitelist specific domains. So of course, another domain that we need to add is image.cluck. So what we do is we say protocol HTTPS, and then we pass the host name, and we go ahead and say image.cluck.com. Once that's done now, head back over and hit a refresh. We change the next config, so it might take 10 seconds or so. Quick little water break. And in a second, your boy's about to have done it. There we go. Look at that. Smooth as hell, right? Only thing is the padding's a bit screwed up, right? So padding, looking okay. Something's looking weird here, and I'll fix that. But we need to go ahead and fix that, right? So, but otherwise, almost there, right? So I want you to go back to chat message, go to, I believe it's actually not chat message. I believe it's in the chat component where we wrap the messages. So here, I believe it was, yeah, there it is. That's exactly where it'll be. So I want you to go into the chat component and I want to see the actual thing. Firstly, padding 5, simple fix, padding 5. And I believe I just not styled it correctly. So in this case, yeah, that's good. But I just need to do where I've got the bot, where I've got the chat message itself. I've just forgot to style something. That's as simple as it is. I think I've done it where, here we are, width, here, this one. So this one is going to be width of 10, rounded 4. Yep, rounded 4. And just like that, we've got a much nicer UI. Look at that. Hey, nice. All right, let's go ahead and do this. We're actually almost done, guys. So don't worry. I'm going to try and wrap up in the next like 15 minutes, I hope. We need to do this little bit where we render out documents, but otherwise we're gold. So in this case, I'm going to click on add. Let's try the whole flow, code whisperers, take it in. I've included that document. Look at this, saves files to database, generates the AI embeddings. All of this in the background is doing some awesome stuff right now. You can see splitting the documents, storing the embeddings, going ahead and creating it in Pinecone. Boom, placeholder. Ask me anything about the document. Optimistic update. If I type a message in, what? Let's just do something else. Who saves the city 1.2 million in processing costs? How much is the processing costs? Okay. And as you can see now, it correctly, optimistically sent something off. As it's pending, we use start transition. So it's going ahead and blocking me from sending a new message. It's showing a placeholder message. Once it comes back, it will go ahead and check out the following. Boom, there you go. The context does not provide the exact processing code before optimizing. It only mentions that Alex's solution saved the city, right? And then they've actually given me this back, which is a strange, interesting part, which I've not seen before. So sometimes obviously AI can give you back whatever, but in this case, it's giving me some maths back. So obviously you can upgrade your message markdown to go ahead and do this, but you can say, give me a markdown summary of what this doc is about and test this out yourself, right? So while that's doing this thing, we can go ahead and stress test it. Like, boom, everything looks amazing. Go ahead and flip it around. Cool, looks good. Is it mobile responsive? Let's see. And go ahead and make it this way. Awesome stuff. Look, now on the phone, you can go ahead and look at this document, scroll through it accordingly as needed. As you can see, it scrolls down for us as we need. Go over here. And look at that, we've got React Markdown with some bold text and everything like that. Really, really awesome stuff. Osama Eldrisi goes, I followed you from 2021. Thank you so much, Money. You are everything in my career. Dude, that means everything. Thank you so much. Jay screenshot that. Thank you so much. Huge stuff. We've got Aiden still here. Amazing, awesome stuff. I really love and appreciate all of you, honestly. Look at this, look, absolutely works perfectly. This is cool, okay? Nice. Now what I want to do, head over to my documents. I want to show the documents here. Once we've done that, I believe we are done for the day. So we've done the Firebase Storage and Firestore, PDF rendering, chat functionality with Pinecone, Langchain, and OpenAI integration. Now we just need to implement my documents functionality on the dashboard, which is actually easy. Right, this part's actually the easiest part. So what I want to do now is simply, we're doing a server component pull on this, which is even easier. All right, so this is like, if you got to this point, you'll be like, oh, this bit's minor. This is fine. All right, so in this case, I go to the dashboard, and if you've got the My Documents here, Force Dynamic, go to Documents down here. And what I want you to do is we're going to just do a couple of things here. So we're going to say a auth protect const user ID. So basically here, I'm going to go ahead and get the users, make sure they're protected, as in authenticate this root firstly. We do that anyway, but I'm just doing it just to be on the safe side. So I'm just showing you both ways you could do it. If you didn't do it at the middleware, you could do it here. We're going to say if there's no user, but it wouldn't be, but again, protective coding, right? Again, you can really kind of grasp how protective you want to be. Greetings, Sunny, great to see you. Anything else you've been able to check out the GATS protocol? I have not yet, but I appreciate you, dude. So in this case, look at this. Look, go to run the server component right now. We go to the user file, go to all of the files, get the document snapshot. And basically now what we're going to do is we're going to map through all of the documents. So we've already done the placeholder document, but we're going to map through all of the documents, get the data out of it with some destructuring, name, downloads, URL and size. And we're simply going to render out a document. And it's going to have the key, ID, name, size, and download URL. Now the document itself, we're going to go ahead and create that fairly easy. This part, again, we're going to go ahead and do a new component. This is just literally a presentational component, RFCE. This is going to be a client component. And this is going to take 4 things as input. We're going to destructure the props. It's going to be ID, name, size. I like this song. ID, name, size. And then the second chunk of stuff is going to be the ID, name, size, and download URL. So this is my type definitions for it. Cool. We're good. Yeah. Next up, we're going to go ahead and pass in the router. Is deleting start transaction or has active membership? No, we're going to do that tomorrow. That's tomorrow's features. All right. In this case, we're going to have the router. Right. And again, next navigation always when you're using the router stuff. Cool. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pop in the styling. I want you to really just kind of, this is not that intense in terms of what we've done so far. All of this is just basic utility styling. You can go and pause the video, see for yourself how I'm styling it out. But right now, as you can see, it's not showing on the screen. So what I'm going to do is go here and just simply import it. So we're going to import from document. And now we should see document, right? So look at that. Immediately, we can see some stuff coming in. All right, now obviously we just want to show this in a better, nicer way. And tomorrow we're going to implement the delete functionality, all that kind of stuff based on if the user is eligible to do that or not, right? So we got the document itself. Now inside the document, this is where I'm going to have the actual file information. So I'm going to have a div inside here. And this div is going to have a p tag with the name of the document. So in this case, let font semi-bold line clamp 2. So look at that, code whisperers. Again, I've inputted the same file every time. So you could put like, if you really wanted to, you could put like the ID itself. If you wanted, you could say ID, or you could splice the first couple of characters or whatnot. So in this case, you see each one is, I promise you it's different. Like each one is a different document, right? So you could go ahead and have like the first few characters, but in this case, I've not implemented that functionality. It wasn't the main thing. And then what I'm going to do is render the size of the file. So we're going to use this handy function called byte size. And that actually comes from a library called byte size. So I'm going to go ahead and do npm install byte size. And look at this. I learned Next.js from Firebase Storage Google. Amazing. Thank you, Osama. I appreciate that. That's huge. He's learned a ton from me. That's what we're talking about, guys. That's why we do what we do, right? Here, I'm going to import the following. And sometimes if it doesn't import the correct types, you simply hover over it, copy the save dev command and install the type definitions. That will get rid of it. Samad goes, this channel deserves millions of subscribers. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. All right, all you got to do to support that is like the video. All right, boom, go down here. Now we've got this looking good. So you see that 2.4 kilobytes, really nice, right? And then when I click on that div, I want to send the user to that page, right? So we go here and we say div. Oh, I really love these comments. Honestly, I'll read it in a second, guys. On click, I just saw a gist of what you said and it has really made my day. Router.push, and here I'm going to do a string interpolation /dashboard /files /ID. Okay, so let's give that a try in a second. But I actually do want to say here, class name flex1, because I'm going to have a bit of, I'll actually style it a bit differently later on, but flex1 because I'm going to have buttons down here for tomorrow, right? So right now, I believe this is good enough for where we're at today. So look at this. All right, so we've got, I'm just going to show you guys right now. If I click into this, it takes me to the page. Awesome, right? Now I want to show you one thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 documents, okay? Let's click on add a document, which is sick, it just worked. And I'm going to, for example, take one of my other PDFs. I've got a sample essay. Now you can test this yourself with other ones. I'm going to take my sample essay, pop it in, right? So we should have 7 on the document screen. So let it do its thing. It's generating new embeddings, saving it to the database. While that's happening, Marcelo says you make 5-hour live stream sessions bearable. I always thought it took days and lots of discipline, but what it takes is interacting with the videos. I appreciate you. Honestly, absolutely huge that you're giving those kind of compliments. So look at this, guys. You got a sample essay. I can just say, what is this about? Let's test through the functionality that we did today, and all of this is part of your today's homework. As I mentioned, this is really the hardest part, right? This is really the hardest part about the video. Once you've got past this part, tomorrow is easy compared to this. So get past today and you're good. Look at that, guys. Boom. Right, the whole thing, this text appears to be about this, and you can say explain more. Click on my documents, and look, the main test here is sample essay was shown. Now we're not sorting this in any order. You can sort it in whatever order you want, but you can go ahead and see each of the different documents, right? And as you can see, tomorrow in the final build, we're actually going to go ahead and do the buttons on the bottom to go ahead and delete and stuff like that, and get it all working to that degree, right? But for now, this is perfectly good enough, right, guys? You guys can see for yourself, we've done so much in today's video, and it's absolutely amazing. This is a really powerful addition to your portfolio, and it's not just that, it's a full SaaS business. You can actually chat to any PDF document, and I've shown you how to do it in such a short space of time. Right, so you guys can literally go ahead and take this as far as you need to. That is so funny. I swear to God, that little pop-up is so jokes. All right, so absolutely huge. Right, we're gonna try and wrap up now. I'm gonna show you how to deploy it, and I'm gonna do a little disclaimer now. Now, when we do this, generating AI embeddings function, right? So this one right here, remember, it takes a period of time. So in this case, the sample file I give you relatively small. And the reason I've given you a small file is because when you're doing this on local dev, we have no restraint, right? So I want to really mention that right now, it worked perfectly. It threw me to the screen. Once we deploy it, Vercel has a timeout of 10 seconds. Please listen to me and help each other out. Vercel has a timeout of 10 seconds on the free plan for any cloud function, and that includes server actions. So what will happen is it will work for the short documents. So the one I'm giving you as a test document, it'll work for those ones, and you can stay in the free plan. I've done this to help you out. I promise you, it's just to basically allow you to test it out on a deployed version. But if you try and upload a big PDF on your local, it will work because there's no timeout. Unless you upgrade to Vercel Pro, which is $20 a month, then you can get past that. But otherwise, I want you to stay in the free limit really as long as you can. So I've done you a favor. I've given you a little test document, which will basically be very quick to generate embeddings for, and it'll stay under the 10-second mark. Hope that makes sense. Let's go ahead and deploy this app. All right. So at this point, you're going to run into some, issues, I guarantee. Just take your time. Aiden goes, thank you so much, Sonny. You're the GOAT. I literally started coding after watching one of your videos. Jay, screenshot that. Yo, you're awesome, dude. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Or someone goes, yo, we're lucky to have Sonny. I'm responsible now for next year's projects in my company. Yo, I love you guys. Thank you. Aldo, appreciate you. In Fergie We Trust, appreciate you. Firesan, Digital Alchemist. Yo, you guys are awesome. Jay, screenshot the individual messages and the chunk of that. That's so, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, guys. Now, what we're going to do before we deploy it, I'm going to do npm run build. This will give me a quick insight as to if it's going to fail on my deployment or not. So this will kind of give me I guarantee I've messed up one little slip or something here or there. If I haven't, wow, that's pretty cool. We got straight up, perfect first time. But typically something will go wrong somewhere. So in this case, messages, yeah, that one I told you about. File uploader is saying I missed handle upload. Yeah, there I could probably put handle upload. Yeah, you want to put that one. But the first dependency one I told you about, it's going to give you a warning. That one was intentional, right? So over here, handle upload, cool, good. Okay, so we're done. So in that case, all I did was file upload. I added the handle upload on the use callback, right? And on the use callback. Very important, actually. Very important, actually. Don't forget that one. Yeah, so I want you to do that. And this is inside of file uploader. Make sure in the use callback, you've got handle upload. That probably would have caused a few issues. All right, so now to deploy to production, we already set up our Vercel yesterday. Some of you actually deployed, but please don't make this mistake. Deploy it to production so that way I can access the URL when I'm reviewing the homework. You want to do Vercel --prod, okay? Vercel --prod. And again, this will fail because we've got new environment variables. So this will basically get the first step going. So when you click on inspect, open up your portal. So in this case, let me just go ahead and put this into my personal space. Okay, and then I'm going to go into my chat with PDF challenge, go over to settings, go over to environment variables. And guys, here I want you to basically do an update on your environment variables. I swear to God, that's going to get me every time. All right, and then I'm going to go down here and I want you to basically open up your environment. So env local, and right now I'm going to do the little trick I have. So env local, click into this, and I basically want you to copy your environment variables, or at least the new ones. All right, so we're going to go ahead and basically head over to here. All right, so head over here, and now I want you to go ahead and paste it in. So is that hiding it? Yeah, that is hiding it. Paste. And you see what happens? It just pastes in, right? Now I've probably got a duplicate key, but I don't know if it will override it or whatnot. If I click save, it didn't override it. It's all good. Okay, so in that case, we've done that. And then what will happen is, I guarantee that deployment probably failed. I swear, I'm so bad with, okay, you go. Oh, I didn't give my key away. There you go. I kept my protected state. All right, cancel that now. So cancel that build, Control C, and then redeploy. So Vercel deploy, Vercel -- prod. And then you can go ahead and check it. Chat, everyone, if you're not already subscribed, do it and like. Yeah, honestly, all I ask you is like this video, period. Yeah, it's gonna help this channel grow massively. So smash that. Oh, nice, Jay. I saw that. Yeah, I just saw that now. This is it, guys. So in this case, you're gonna inspect this build, and this is gonna be the one that I want you to post to your homework. So we're going to get ready for this one now. So as this is going ahead and getting built, I'm going to go to deployments. I'm going to see this is my production one that's being built right now. And that's going ahead and doing its magic. Now I'm going to go through today's homework, guys. So firstly, absolutely incredible session. Not even amazing. That was cool. That was a really incredible session. You guys stuck with me. That was the hardest part. If you got past that, well done. Huge. Absolutely huge. This is the viewing day. Day 2, Jay, you need to change the title of this page. I believe it says day 2 there in the metadata. That's me being a dev. Anyway, if you go to in the description now, you'll hit the viewing room. Go over here. You'll find this. This is the link to today's video. You'll see the agenda for everything that we need to do for today's video. Take your time, use the community, help each other out, conquer it. Please don't quit. Just whatever you do, don't quit. Right, I love the positivity, guys. I see you. Daisy in the house. Yo, what's up? And then you guys can see here, go down here and you see day 3 homework submission. Here is the sample PDF file that I was showing you guys. If you click it, it will simply open up to the sample PDF, the Code Whisperers Quest, right? GPT actually created that, awesome stuff. And then you want to put your name, email, deployed SaaS app, and you can also get the link here as well. If you implemented Clerk elements or not implemented yet from yesterday's part, you can go ahead and tick on the appropriate box. And remember, please go to the go.clerk.com/Sunny link. It really does help us because it allows me to keep on doing this for free. And Clerk is an absolutely incredible authentication service. You guys have seen for yourself just how powerful it truly is in what we've been doing in this build. So let's go ahead and check on my build, see if it's done, guys. I think it is done. Let's go here and you can see chat with PDF challenge Vercel.app. And I believe it was still deploying. We're still building right now. Yeah, so in this case, oh no, it's done. Yeah, so in this case, let's go here and boom, you guys can see here. Let's go ahead and test it out. Get started. We're probably gonna have to log in. Oh, I'm already logged in. There we go. And then let's go ahead and you can see a bunch of documents here. And this is all for my logged in user. I'm gonna go ahead and use the Code Whisperers Quest. So that sample PDF. Again, I'm on the free trial of Vercel on this plan that I'm using. I've got a pro plan. But as you can see now, it generates the AI embeddings. This will only take a couple of seconds. Because it's a small document, it should work. Boom, we go through. There you go. It's updated. It's working. This is perfect. This is flawless. If I want to chat to it, I can go and say, hi, how much money did the optimization save the city annually? So you can use these as test questions. Make sure you go ahead and do that. Boom. And now give it a test. Make sure you're getting the correct response back. Oh, wow, that was fast. All right. And then how many online courses did Alex win after the prize? Boom. And then after all of that, I could be like, how many questions have been asked in this convo so far? Question mark. And you can even go ahead and see for that, so we can got context over it. So far, 5 questions have been, I think it's including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in that case, obviously it's just assuming that 5 things have been spoken about, but you get the gist. It works, right? So in this case, go back to my documents. Amazing, absolutely incredible stuff. works just as we said it. Guys, firstly as well, I'm just looking at the comments right now. Love and appreciate all of you. I see it all. Vladdy Vlogs, thank you, Sonny. It's amazing. OJ, whoop, whoop. Liz Myers, indeed, thank you. Nothing like this is out there. Honestly, it's absolutely incredible. Really, really cool build. And I'm trying to break it down as much as I can. Omar Tools, this guy is amazing. Really, Sonny, best content creator I've ever seen. Oh, yo, I love you guys, period. Appreciate the hell out of you. Aiden, absolutely crushing it. Let's go into a sample essay, for example. Just right now, we can see it for ourselves. You can see it's working awesome, right? So much positivity. I'm speechless. Like I just showed you guys such an intense build, and look at the outcome of how you guys are chatting away to me. It's absolutely phenomenal. Huge stuff. You want to deploy it? Take that link that you got. Remember the production link, not preview link, production link, right? Take that link. Go over to your homework and submit it, because obviously I want you guys to absolutely win all of these challenges and builds, right? And get all the benefits like I told you about, the prizes that we got. Full name, email, hit submit, boom, homework done, right? And as I mentioned before, use the community, please guys, use the community. I know some of you will be watching this replay being scared about, you know, oh my God, that's an intense build. Use the community, and I promise you, you'll be so damn proud of yourself for getting this working. This is probably one of those ones where you're going to get it's going to be intense. It's going to be a bit of a tricky one. You're going to have debugging moments, but I guarantee with the energy that the community has, every single one of you will overcome it. And look at what's happened so far. Every single person who's been stuck in the community has gotten past their issues. Facts. Absolute facts, guys. I'm going to wrap this one up the only way I know how to, with the Papa Fam anthem. Love and appreciate you all. Let's go and do this. Bam. Right, here we go. All right, sign out. Like I said before, guys, community popping off. You guys know what to do. Jay, I think we're good, right? And we can wrap off. We've got, look at it. I'm going to read some of the comments. Abdullah, Sunny, the boss, thank you so much. Awesome, Alpha Sunny Sick. What's the shortcut to import? Control spacebar at the end of the text, and then you can go ahead and import it. Aiden saying I changed my website to include the Kirk elements. Am I too late to get the bonus 10 points? I see you, dude. I got you. Don't worry. Awesome stuff. Digital Alchemist. Sonny, my son wants me to make him an Iron Man phone, so I'm going to need you to make that an upcoming project. Done. I got you. Don't worry about it. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. We built an absolutely incredibly powerful app in today's build. As I mentioned before, all of this is getting completely, released to you guys on day 5. To go ahead and sign up, links.papareact.com/day 5. Sign up to this to make sure you get all of the trainings and everything else as well, guys. Absolutely incredible stuff. I'll see you inside the community. I'll chat to you over there. So make sure you submit your homework. And this has been day 3 of the 5-day challenge. Peace. See you guys tomorrow. That's it. See you guys tomorrow. Completely forgot about that one. I'll see you guys in day 4 of the challenge tomorrow, where we build the webhooks. We're going to do Stripe checkouts. We've got custom webhooks, by the way. Limit the functionality of the app to free and pro plans. Implement deleting documents. Implement downloading documents. Deploying that. And then you've got a full SaaS. Bam! In 5 days, full SaaS. And then I'm topping it off. Day 5, we've got a full training. So it just gets better and better. So much fun, honestly. Love and appreciate y'all. In the next video, peace. Tomorrow, same time. My brain's a bit fried if you can't tell. It's been intense, right? But I'll see you guys in tomorrow's build. Peace. Just the 2 of us, and we could stay up all night, kissing under street lights, doing what we want to, doing what we need to do.